Stop. I finally made it back to Florida and had the chance
Bam.
to reflect
We're
on
live.
this past weekend.
Calvin Heimborg.
Heimberg. His Instagram is spelled differently than his name.
Oh, impressive finish. Impressive finish.
Extremely.
Kept it exciting. Really stayed on top of Kevin Jones in the 17th and 18th hole. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've done your homework.
Oh, yeah.
You're ready to go.
Oh, yeah. The back nine. That's called the back nine. For those of you who don't know, the back nine is holes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Dude, I think you got it on your own tonight. I can just leave.
Just chill, buddy. Just chill. I got all this. All we need is Souza or Caleb to log in now so someone can run the back end. Okay, so you sent me this guy's Instagram. This is Calvin Heimberg, and he's good. Tell me what's going on here. What are we doing here tonight? What kind of crazy shenanigans are we up to?
I mean, I'm not sure. We'll see, but this past weekend was the first pro tour event of the year for the disc golf season, and you and I have been kind of talking about the possibility of doing some coverage of that sport. Well, have been trying to get guests on that play disc golf for over a year now, maybe 2 years, and we've been failing.
Yeah. Why won't those guys come on?
Well, we haven't gotten their attention yet, so that's maybe what we're trying to do.
Okay, and you're saying the disc golf pro season has started. How many weeks is the season?
So there's disc golf going on like all year round,
okay.
and technically in terms of tour points available, the season actually started like 2 months ago, but those are all what are called A tier, B tier, and C tier events, and the points available in those are very small. The majority of the points that you can earn towards the season happen in the disc golf pro tour events, of which there are 16. And those started on February 23rd this past week. And the disc golf pro tour championship is the last one, and that ends on October 15th.
And so is this every weekend for the next 16 weekends?
No, there's a lot more than 16 weekends between now and October 15th.
Okay, so, how many? Is it every other weekend? So we won't be on here every week, or will we?
I don't think so. There are tournaments every week, and the best players in the world, for the most part, will play in tournaments most of the weeks, but they won't play every week. They'll take some weeks off for travel to go back home to family, and the tour has some like sections to it. So obviously, in these months, the tournaments are taking place in warmer climates. So the first several tournaments there's one in Vegas. And then there's a few in Texas. I think 3 in a row are in Texas. And that gets us through March. But they're not all pro tour events. They have some tournaments that are called other things. So we're not going to cover every tournament every week. We'll probably focus on the big ones. And in addition to those...
Are those 16 all considered big ones?
They're considered big ones, but not the biggest. There are also 4 majors.
Are they all scored equally of those 16?
In terms of the points available?
Yeah.
I believe so, but a couple of them are playoff events, and so those might be weighted more heavily towards the end of the season.
I counted about 32 or 33 weeks between now and like October 14th.
Right. So, for example, in the summer, there are some events in Europe.
Oh, so shit. And the whole tour has to go there? If you're a serious player, you have to go there?
Not necessarily, but most of them do, because one of the majors is in Europe. So if you go there, you'll go there and play one of those 16 events on July 13th that weekend. And then the following weekend is the European Open, which is one of 4 majors for the year.
I have to turn off this notify me. I have to play sound effects. I have to turn this off. This thread that you and I are on with these games experts is something else, isn't it?
Yes.
I've never really I'm 50 years old. I've never really been on a thread like this.
Yeah, I have.
And I've been on some crazy threads. You have been on one like this before?
Yeah, it's actually, more or less, that's what the Morning Chalk Up Slack channel used to be like.
Wow. That's
where,
impressive.
people from around the world would get information and they just put it in there, and then we would decide what to do with it. This is a very different group of people, but it's a similar concept.
Yeah. So sorry, I switched subjects. I went over to CrossFit for a second. Brian, in terms of your knowledge of CrossFit versus disc golf, are they comparable?
I've been doing CrossFit for 10 years. I've been playing disc golf for 3.
Mhm.
I've been watching CrossFit for 10 years, and I've been watching disc golf for 3.
Okay.
So I would say that my knowledge of, I would say my knowledge of disc golf is on par with my knowledge of CrossFit from like 5 years ago when I first started with you.
Okay, that's impressive. Sarah Cooper, do disc golf players follow the rules? I think that's a passive aggressive question.
Well, if there's anyone who likes to follow CrossFit and is concerned that disc golf is going to be full of controversy that detracts from the quality of what's happening on the field of play, it's far less problematic in disc golf.
Right, it's simpler. They only have a couple things going on.
Yeah, you throw it in the basket and you get however many points it was for the shots you took, and if it's out of bounds, it's very well defined. Occasionally, just like in regular golf, you'll have a penalty that's applied after the fact for someone who did something that was illegal that wasn't noticed immediately, but it's pretty rare.
Justin, hi. You're not supposed to call until tomorrow evening show.
Yeah, but no one wants to listen to disc golf, do they really?
This is a disc golf show. Listen. One of my esteemed colleagues saw that this was on the schedule, and he goes, "Are you crazy? The CrossFit stuff is so hot right now. Why are you wasting your energy on disc golf?"
Because after 3 weeks from now,
just move on. And
let me tell you, I think you guys are just jealous because you think me and Brian are cheating on you, and we are.
I have to ask Brian a question.
Please.
So right now, I'm in the North America West region or whatever they're calling that. They're taking 68 teams to quarterfinals. Is that correct, Brian?
Well, 68 what?
Teams to quarterfinals.
I don't think that's right.
So
I think you're talking about teams, like groups of 4, 2 men and 2 women?
Yeah, team, TEAM.
Oh, teenagers.
No, team, TEAM. Teams.
I think they're
people.
taking. I think they're taking 40 teams to
quarterfinals.
No.
Oh, to semifinals. Quarterfinals. I have no idea.
Quarters.
No idea, and don't really care.
Dude, okay. So let me tell you what the game site says. They're taking 68. They're taking 68 teams to quarterfinals from this particular continent. They're taking 40 teams to semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to take 68 teams from the Open, and then they're going to drop 28 of those teams and take them to quarterfinals.
Hold on, let me check your math. Yep, that's right. Yep, you got it.
Okay.
They're missing the boat somewhere, and I know that it's not a big deal to the top level games athletes, but they're missing the boat somewhere on this team thing. Like, how is only 68 teams qualifying for stage 2 of a 4-stage competition when 4,000 individuals qualify and they're going to take 60? Like, they're missing something here. And here's my solution. And bear with me. I'm going to take just a second, then I'll hang up. My solution is that every affiliate in good standing that registers for the Open is automatically have a team. It doesn't cost $10. You don't have to go register a team. Every affiliate has a team, regardless if you care about the competition side of it or not.
I already like it. I'm signing off on this idea. I'm signed off. This is an excellent idea. I love this already.
And then you can actually call it the fucking affiliate cup because every affiliate is participating in it.
Thank you. Yes, that's a fucking brilliant idea. You should be the CEO of CrossFit, or at least replace Justin Berg's position.
Well,
and I'm not even joking, even though I'm using my smart ass voice, Justin. It's fucking a no-brainer, duh. And hey, and if you want people to go to the events, how about let in 100 affiliate teams to the event so you can pack the house, because Wadapalooza already cracked the code on that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm calling tomorrow and beat Brian down some more, please.
Will do.
Back to Frisbee golf. You're a good dude. It's actually a fucking brilliant idea. It's a no-brainer. Adds to the affiliate proposition. Okay, back to Frisbee golf. Okay, so Brian, when so you sent me 4 shows from this YouTube station. Why do they call it? Why do they call it Jomez Pro?
The founder's name is Jonathan Gomez.
Okay.
So he just combined those names. Joe, the first 2 initials from his first name, and Mez, the last 3 letters from his last name. Jomez Pro. He made this company a long time ago. He used to do a lot of the work on his own. It's picked up a lot of steam recently. There are other companies that have post-production like they do for a lot of events but they usually get the lead card. So, for whatever reason, maybe they have to bid on it. So they get the feature card is a selection of players in round 1. And then every subsequent round, the top 4 players play on what's called the lead card. The next 4 players play on the chase card. Usually Gatekeeper Media, maybe GK Pro is another YouTube station that might cover those. And on the really big tournaments, there's usually a 3rd card of coverage. As you know from following along this week, in the course of a day, after another round, there can be exchanges from the lead card and the chase card. And sometimes someone has a really hot round and will jump 2 cards. So this is just the place you can go to watch the top 4 players every round play their round in about an hour.
Yeah, and this is a really cool site. The camera work was fantastic. The commentary was fantastic. It's not stuffy commentary. It's real commentary. It took me a little while to realize that the guys who are doing the commentary are all of them actually pros or former pros?
They're all still
guys
playing.
Who are even playing on the circuit. There was one guy who was like commentating and he was playing.
No, all 3 of them actually started playing in this tournament. One of the guys had to withdraw after first round. The other guy didn't make the cut for the final round, but the middle guy made the cut and finished, somewhere in the 20s or something for this tournament.
Sexton.
Yeah, and Nate Sexton, he's been playing for a long time. He finished tied for 43rd. Only 49 players made the cut, so he had a bad last round. But he doesn't play very many tournaments during the year, but when he does play, he usually does pretty well.
Okay. And how many tournaments do you have to play of the 16 to kind of maintain your pro status?
I don't know all the qualifications for pro status, but there are 90 players that have what's called a touring card. So those players can register for those they have like first dibs on those tournaments.
Okay.
So usually they can get into them regardless. There's normally about 160 male players in the field. So there's another 70 guys that don't have a tour card that are trying to earn their way into that tournament. And there's a few different ways to do that. And I don't know all of the rules for that necessarily.
Well, good. I'm glad you don't know everything for this show because I was concerned that we're not going to have anything to talk about in the next show. Robbie Myers looks like one of the dorks I saw on the circuit. For sure, he looks like a Frisbee player. Brian, any desire or plans to go to the Jonesboro Open? You've got a place to stay, if so. That's nice.
I have yet to go to a pro disc golf event. I play in like C-tier level events locally, which is fun, but I haven't gone to actually watch one. I've actually never really enjoyed going to watch like professional golf tournaments because I think the only way to do it is if you like just pick a group and follow them. It's so boring for me to just stand on the 16th tee and watch a tee, 4 guys hit a tee shot and then wait 10 minutes or 15 minutes and watch 4 more guys hit a tee shot. So if I went to a disc golf event, I'd want to go to one where I had the capacity to follow the card that I wanted and be able to watch them all play the entire round. Some of them are easier to do that at than others.
Okay. Definitely not a disc golf player, but it's big here. All right. Cool.
That's one of the, like that course is a very famous course and shows up every year as one of the stops on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
So this website, so Brian gave me 4 of these videos to watch in their 30-minute videos, and they were recaps. It looks like I'm going to go to videos here. Big YouTube station, 422,000 subscribers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So the pink ones are the women's and the green ones are the men's.
Okay. So 8, if you want to follow just the men, it's like 8 half-hour shows to get caught up, and they do an incredible job of recapping.
Yeah. I mean,
how about that guy that was hit with the disc and the commentators are like, hey, he might have a broken ankle. Is that for real that one of those could break your ankle?
Oh, I mean, it was you have no idea how fast and hard these guys are throwing those discs. and that was a distance driver that was coming in with a lot of speed. It probably hurt his ankle. If he broke his ankle, it would have been just because of the way he landed more than anything else. That rarely happens. It does happen occasionally, but that I've never seen that before, where the guy who's in position to film the shot from the fairway gets hit by the disc. And the fact that it hit him in the leg and went into the bunker, which caused a penalty stroke for the player who threw it, was very unfortunate.
Oh, so I was wondering what happened. Okay, we'll get to that. I got that clip up here. You'll see when it hits them. We call back when I used to play Frisbee, we called any shot that was started coming down at an angle like this, we would call it a tomahawk if it was coming. I didn't hear them use that word once, that phrase tomahawk. So they must. There's
a tomahawk throw. It's an overhand throw.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
I didn't see anyone use any of those either. By the way,
they will use them on occasion. Those players can, most of them can all do it. There's throws called a grenade. You probably saw a few rollers. There's a couple different throws that people do.
What's a Heiser?
That angle is the Heiser angle. So if you're a right-handed backhand player, like most of the discs will fade from right to left, and that's a Heiser angle. The opposite is an Anheuser angle.
So Anheuser.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Awesome. So basically what I've done here is I'm just going to pull up some clips and we'll cruise through this and we'll get through we'll get through the tournament and then we'll climax with the last 9 holes and hopefully Souza will get here because this is going to be quite tedious for me to pay attention to you. And okay, let me go through some of my notes here. One of the things when it started, they said there's no more bad players on the tour. The sport has evolved to weed those guys out. So obviously we're at a spot. It's kind of like CrossFit. There's no one shitty at the games anymore, right?
There's definitely no one shitty at the games. We know we don't have the best 40 in the world. In these tournaments, there's no bad players anymore. That's what they were saying is, you used to be able to be fairly recreational and show up at one of these events and play if you wanted to. Now the level is raising dramatically. And I think that, the COVID, whatever period of time had a lot to do with that because it's basically the perfect COVID sport. It's outdoors. You have your own equipment. You don't have to touch anyone. You don't have to be near anyone. And while almost everything else was closed, disc golf courses were open and, a lot of young players have started playing. And if you're, semi-athletic, have a background in baseball or Frisbee or football where you were throwing, like you can, like the motion is fairly easy to learn. If you're good at hand-eye coordination things and you have the combination of those two skill sets, you're going to be good. And there's a lot of people like that. It is physically demanding, but it's a low barrier to entry.
Speaking of it being a kind of the perfect COVID sport, it's also the perfect like the church and like the military. It's a perfect sport if you're gay. There's tons of dudes.
Let's quick clip that for our clip section and tag all the disc golfers. We'll definitely get them to watch.
Yeah, we'll get Innova will be sponsoring the show very soon. The course is a par 69.
Well, there were 2 different courses they played.
Okay.
And
the second one was a par 61?
Maybe.
Okay. I was wondering that. I thought, you're right. Okay. So the first course that you took me to is a par 69. That's the first course. And also in the early rounds that you were showing me, it looked like the guys were carrying chalk bags and in the final rounds they weren't. Why is that? Weather?
They'll all have chalk bags in their bags somewhere in case they want to use it. Some guys use it a lot more frequently than others, and yeah, it's basically to make sure that you're getting the grip on the disc that you want.
The longest hole in all of these we're going to ever see is a par 4.
No, there's par 5s.
There are par 5s.
There are. Okay. 3, 4, and 5 is the only pars that you'll see, just like regular golf. There's
a kid who is 17 on the course, a Gannon Burr. Is he the youngest dude in this 90?
There might be a couple 16-year-olds actually. There's a guys named Evan Scott, Evan Smith, and Cole Redalin that are all around that old that are also have a tour card this year. But Gannon Burr, while those guys are all incredible, Gannon Burr is a next level compared to them. Last year he finished 4th place for the season on the tour points, which just shows a lot of consistency over the entire course of the season. He did win one tournament last year, but it was a Silver Series event, which is like one step down from a Pro Tour event, still very challenging to do. And he was in contention in a bunch of others. I mean, he is a prodigy in this sport. Like he will be good for a long time.
Trying to find him. You guys got to see a picture of this dude.
The thing is, he's very tall, and not all of them, but a lot of the top players are pretty tall, like 6'3" plus, and the wingspan helps because when you have that long reach back and pull through, you can just get more, velocity on it. But he's probably 6'5" and still growing.
Okay, guys, look at this dude. This dude's shoulders are pointier than my elbows, and oh, that was a great shot. That was around the stuff down. Okay, so look at this dude. This kid is so skinny, and the commentator said that in the off season he put on 25 pounds of muscle. Excuse me. They couldn't even believe they were saying that. Look at this dude.
Yeah,
25 pounds of muscle on that.
You can see how long his wingspan is there, and it's just. But what's kind of cool is, a lot of guys when they're growing up, or people in general when they're growing up, it takes time to grow into your body, and so to have a long wingspan is one thing, but to also be dialed in enough to be super focused on your putt and have a really accurate putt when you're still kind of growing into your body is what is most impressive about me for him, because he's one of the best putters too.
He also put 100 feet on his what do you call it? His drive? Is that what you call this?
Yeah,
100 feet. That's huge. That's like a 20% increase from the best guys, right?
Yeah, everyone on the tour can throw 500 feet plus, and then a select group can throw 600 feet plus.
No shit, 600 feet.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely depends on elevation, the wind. Yeah, it depends if you measure from where it lands or where it finishes.
All right, where the fuck is Souza? I guess we're just gonna dive in. Here we go. Oh, I don't even have a clip for that. Okay, we'll leave that alone. Okay, here we go. Okay, bear with me here. Oh, this is a tough job. Okay, 14-25, a misrelease by Garrett. Not a spit out, but wait, what the fuck? It's not even up here. Excuse me. Sorry. Let's see. Share screen. So they call this here we are on hole 3. You guys can see up there it's a hole 3. It's a 359 feet. Sometimes they even have the metric system up here for the Euros to check out. The number in the middle is a par 3. There's some other numbers down here. Maybe Brian will get to explain to us. But they say right here that Garrett has a misrelease. I think it's Garrett, not Gannon. And what's a misrelease?
That's just a misrelease, unfortunately.
Oh shit.
I'll bring Garrett to
Hold
even
on.
par.
Second time.
No way.
That was tough.
Okay, so you could barely see it there, but sometimes you throw a putt that really looks like it should go in and it doesn't go in. In this case, what he's saying is that he hit the high right side of the chains on a downhill putt, and it's unlikely that the basket's going to catch that. From that far away, he shouldn't be missing his mark by that much.
So okay, well hold that thought, because here they call it a misrelease, and in other places they call it a spit out.
Right. So a spit out would be like you throw it right at the middle of the chains, you hit the mark. Okay, when you're putting, usually you'll pick one chain link and you'll be aiming for that chain link, depending on what the wind's doing.
No shit. You think this guy is aiming for one specific chain link right here?
Yeah, and I think from what looks to be like a 10-foot putt, he's missed his mark by probably 6 inches right and 8 inches high. So he's just letting it go a little late, and because he's going downhill and it's the top right side of the chains that he hit, it's unlikely it's going to catch the disc. He should be hitting the lower part of the chains with the nose down, so it just dives right in there.
And how many chains are there hanging from a basket?
Variable, and I don't know. I don't really know the rules about what's the minimum or maximum allowed. But this is you'll see as over the course of the season that some of them look different. This is not like there are baskets that have more chains than this one.
And there's not a you mean even on this course? No.
On the course for a pro tour event on this course, it'll all be the same. If you go to your recreational course, you might not get that consistency. But most like parks and recreations departments are starting to take disc golf more seriously, and they will have nicer and nicer and more consistent stuff on their courses because more people are playing.
And look at this stance. This it's a granny stance way off his midline. Like it's not a core to extremity at this distance. It's just to extremity.
It's called a straddle putt.
Uh-huh.
There are a couple players at the top of the game that use a straddle putt, but most of the best players do not. Most of them can do it and will do it if they're forced to, if they have to straddle out from a bush or a tree or whatever else is in their way. But as a default go-to putt, there's not a lot at the top of the sport that does this.
In basketball, I think it's called a granny shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Isn't it? I know my sports. Oh, look at there's Souza. Thank you. Thank God Souza's here. Thank God.
He was sweating. It's Matt.
Just got here. We have been getting into disc golf for the past 6 months after hearing Brian talk about it on the podcast. So much fun. Oh, awesome. Australia, $14.99. Okay, good. All right. Are you with us, Souza? Are you?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I'm more than happy to bring up all these clips. As a matter of fact, you'd be stoked. Look, I was ready to hit the ground running. Is it mine or is it yours? I have it queued up at the same exact time.
You're awesome. I'm pulling mine off. Mine can go bye-bye.
Roger that.
Okay. So Gannon had a spit out on hole 3. Okay, here we go. God, now here we go, Brian. We're fucking off to the races. You ready to talk some golf? This is the elite of the elite, right? So basically what we're seeing these are the top 90 best guys in the world. And why don't we cover the women? Because we're sexist, misogynistic, or we just don't have time? Or
like I said, there's usually about 160 players in a men's field for a pro tour event. For the women's field, there were 29.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
so it's still developing.
That might not be true. There were 29 that made the cut. They may have had less they may have more in the previous rounds. But I
thought you said there were 90 guys on who have the pro card. Now you're saying 126?
There's 90 with the pro card, but there were 160 in this tournament.
Oh, so you can show up and still play if you don't have a pro card.
Yeah, there's other ways to get into the tournaments.
Okay.
We'll check.
Is it like that in golf too?
Yeah, there were 57 women that started the tournament. 29 made the cut. There were 119 players who started the tournament and 49 that made the cut.
Will Brandstetter, my 54-year-old dad and 15-year-old brother play disc golf together now multiple times a week and go to tournaments together ever since COVID. I mean, you should have them watch this show. So you, when we're rich and famous, you can be like, yeah, Dad, I missed the boat on that one. They really liked me, but I bailed on them. Okay. Mr. Brandstetter. When do you use I guess a backhand or a forehand?
So there's certain players that'll default to one or the other. Mm-hmm. The best players can do both, and usually the deciding factors are what is the wind doing, what direction do I want the disc to go, and the combination of those two things will make the difference in that decision.
And obstacles too, right? If you're throwing a backhand and there's a tree in front of you and you don't have a forehand, you're kind of screwed.
Definitely.
Not screwed, but you got to use more of a hyzer.
Yeah, if you're out of position, then you might be forced into a specific kind of throw. That's where you might see someone do a tomahawk or a grenade, is if they can't go around and they have to go over. So having all of the tools in the bag is going to be valuable. Most of the players on the tour will be default to the backhand when they can, but I would say 20% are forehand dominant players. And like I said, they'll get the best guys in the sport can do both anytime they need to. Hey,
Souza, I'm okay with using more than 7 seconds. Not more than 10, but 7. Like, let's flirt with disaster on the show. Let's see what happens. 1720. Gannon had a spit out on hole 3, and then hole 4, he makes this insane shot. So we saw the guy get a spit out, and now he comes back, which I'm guessing can be kind of difficult. Here we go.
Yeah, so the one thing that should be known about Gannon, I told you he's very good at putting. He's also his putt is extremely fast or hard. And so he's very accurate, but he rifles it in there at the basket. And in the middle of the chains is a pole. And if you throw it hard enough that it hits the pole still with some, like goes through the chains and hits the pole, sometimes it'll bounce back out. I'm not sure if this was one that did that exactly, or if it was one that actually went through the chains. But there are times that you throw a putt that you're hitting your mark and it still doesn't finish in the basket. It's called a spit out. It's unfortunate when it happens, but it does happen.
Sorry, Suze. I think you found it, Suze. I think you just back up a little. I think I gave you a bad time code, but I think
Was
you
that
found it.
okay? That was it. That's what we're.
Yeah, because that's Gannon Burr, who looks like Bill Henniger.
That is actually Nate Sexton, the commentator.
Oh,
That's Gannon Burr.
oh, that looks like. Oh, yeah, that is Gannon Burr. Sorry. So you do have it. This is the guy right here. Sorry. Thank you. Let's see. Hit play on this. Let's see what happens. He's going over to take the shot. 17-20. Nope. Before then, tall, skinny guy. Go back to 17-20. That was him. Not this guy. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, right here. Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
see
it
the
wasn't.
shot.
Yeah, it was like.
Okay, 17-12. Here we go. Action. Oh, we're going to have to back up a little bit more. We missed it.
Yeah, but he throws a pretty good putt. It hits the chains very hard, and it doesn't go in the basket. What you're asking about is, how do you bounce back from something like that? It's gonna, like, there is definitely an element of luck that in disc golf at times, and when something doesn't go your way, how you respond to it is quite honestly sometimes a difference between the great and the rest of the guys.
Hey, how do you move a YouTube scrubber up 1 second at a time? I know L and J move it forward and back 10 seconds. Are there some keys that just move it 1 second at a time?
I don't know. I'll Google search it. But this is the guy we're looking for, right?
Yep, you got it now. Sorry.
Okay, I'm like feeling my way through the dark.
Yep, you're doing good. You're doing
Okay.
good. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. Let's see. Let's watch this shot. This is a great shot. And you know what's interesting? These guys get a little timid. There's a lot of strategy to the game, I noticed. Like, they won't take risks that they don't feel like they need to take.
Well, that depends on who it is.
Okay.
So throughout the tournament, one of the best players in the world's name is Eagle McMahon, and he's one of the best putters in the world too, but there were a lot of holes that he chose to just lay it up under the basket and accept his par instead of running a birdie putt from 30 to 60 feet away. There's the defending world champion is named Paul Macbeth, and he almost never does that because he's so confident that even if he misses and it goes 35 feet past, that he's going to make it coming back.
Oh,
he goes for it
interesting.
almost every time.
I noticed, and these guys were playing very safe today. I saw very few long putts, very few.
Yeah, and it might depend also on like the time of the tournament. Early on in the tournament, you may play a little bit more conservatively. Later on, when you know what's exactly on the line, you have to chase the guy down, you might be more aggressive. But if you're in the lead, you might be more conservative. I did
see the crazier shots at the end. You're right. I saw the crazier shots at the end.
Paul Macbeth ended up finishing sixth in this tournament. He was tied for second. He would have finished in second if he had parred the last hole. He ended up taking a double bogey on it, which was his worst score of the tournament, I think, on any hole. But he was very aggressive throughout the entire tournament, and I think in hindsight, if there were a few times he chosen to lay up, that he might have actually won this thing. But you don't know that at the time.
Right. 1830. How about this guy? This guy licks his fingers. Is this normal? 1830. Sexton. Is it Nate Sexton? Gives his fingers a lick. Watch this. Watch this guy right here. Let's see if I got this
Nate
time
Sexton,
code.
first of all, is a forehand dominant player. So he can throw the backhand, but he throws the forehand more often than the backhand. And he has a few kind of ticks or, routines that he goes through. And usually, he'll give his fingers a little lick just to, again, that's like inside of the chalk bag, just to get a little grip on the disc that he wants. And then he also has a little like unique thing that he does when he putts where he spins the disc around and around before he putts.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. Lick it, buddy. Lick it. Oh, I must have missed the lick. God, I'm giving you some bad time codes. You know what happens, Susan, is I watched this at 1 1/4 speed, and I wonder if that's why. Oh, there he is. You saw it. You saw the lick. It's intense.
And basically having a good grip on the disc is important. And so
having a good lick on the disc is important.
Yeah. If the lick gives a good grip, then I think Trish knows more about that than me, but you'll have a more true flight.
At 24 minutes, Gannon attacks the basket from the furthest out I've seen yet. It's on hole 6.
Hole 6.
24 minutes.
So someone previously had asked, what is the distance that's considered a putt? So there's two There's a called Circle 1. That's 33 feet circumference or radius, I guess. Radius
I heard
from
him
the
using that
basket.
term. Yeah.
And if you're inside 33 feet, it's a putt, and you're not allowed to move your feet forward.
Oh,
If you're inside 66 feet, it's circle 2, which he's either in circle 2 or even beyond it at this point. And in this time, you can jump forward, step forward, or do whatever you want as long as you start behind your disc. And this is still considered a putt. If you throw it in the basket from outside of 66 feet, then it would be considered a throw-in, not a putt.
okay. So he can take a step forward. He does.
Mhm. And did he make that one?
Oh, who the fuck knows? I guess we don't get to see. Oh, here we go. Back again. Action. Oh, that's some stuttery shit.
But it's in.
All right.
Yeah, so that's a step putt from circle 2. So it's probably close to 66. It's probably close to the end of circle 2, so 60-ish feet, and he made the putt from there.
Good job, Gannon. Hole 7. They said people will use their putter on a 315-foot hole. Is that true? Did I hear that right? A putter to a mid-range. But if you're 315 feet away, you'll pull out your putter?
I will not, because I can't throw my putter that far. But these are the best guys in the world. In general, the slower the disc is, the more control you should have with it, or the easier it is to throw it straight or to get it to do what you want. If there's holes that are between 300 and 350 feet, you're probably just going to throw the disc that you feel most comfortable with. And there are definitely guys playing in this tournament that would throw putters on those holes.
Can you step past your disc in circle 2 or still have to stay behind?
You can step past it or jump past it as long as you start behind. As long as you let go of the disc while one foot is still on the ground behind it.
Yeah, it looked like he stepped. Okay, it looked like he stepped.
So
over
his
it. Okay.
his right foot is on the ground behind his mark. He's stepping forward. His left foot is in the air in front of his disc, and he lets go of the disc before his left foot touches the ground.
Molly wants to know if it's which color disc gets spit out of the holes more often. It's a different show, Molly. This is a golf show. Okay. 2747. And this is for you, Molly.
We should probably always assume that it's like 5 seconds before whatever you said.
Okay, that's or is that where we're at? Okay, good. And this is Gannon gets another. We're looking at Garrett Girthy here, but in a second you're going to see Gannon get spit out again. I know Molly likes this. Gannon Burr, the 17-year-old. So he's in the first circle, right?
Yeah, so that is pretty unfortunate right there. I mean, he throws a good putt. It's coming in with the nose down. It's right in the middle of the chains, but it was so much velocity that
Can you pause this a second,
up.
Souza? What are the red ticks, little red hairs coming out of the ground there? That's circle 1.
There's 2 sets of red circles, red ticks marking a circle. The first one is the bullseye, so that's within 11 feet. The next one is the circle 1, that's 33 feet. And then there's blue feathers at 66 feet that mark circle 2.
What are the white ones out there? The white that's out of bounds?
White is out of bounds, yeah.
And if you go out of bounds, you pick up a stroke.
Correct. There's out of bounds and there are hazards. If it's in a hazard, you have to play it from where it lies and add a stroke. If it's out of bounds, normally you play it from the last point it crossed inbounds and add a stroke. Otherwise, you will go to a drop zone and add a stroke.
I would like to be curious to see why they have out of bounds. What the thought is.
There
behind
are a
that.
variety of different reasons why you would have out of bounds. Sometimes it's because not on this course, but in some courses, maybe there's like barbed wire over there. So we're going to put out of bounds because we don't want the players going over there because it's dangerous. Sometimes there's another fairway that's running adjacent to your fairway, and we don't want the players on hole 7 throwing into 14's fairway. So that would be out of bounds. Sometimes they do it to demand accuracy. So they'll say, well, this is a wide open golf course, and we don't want players just throwing it as far as they can in any direction and being able to play. So we're going to put some parameters on what's allowed.
It seems though the best players in the world shouldn't be punished for going out of bounds because they're clearly not doing it on purpose.
Sometimes there's water, and if it goes in the water, it's out of bounds. Sometimes there's a whatever.
Fergie had an interesting comment here. He said, where was it? Oh, is it already gone? Said, I lost it. Oh, disc golf is therapy for chronic masturbators. I don't know if that's true, but from the look of these guys, it could be. Okay, so Gannon had another spit out there. That sucks for him. Let's go to 30-58. Gannon behind a tree on hole 8. And this is where he has to. This is, I guess, where it pays to be 6'5" because it gives him a little more reach around objects.
Definitely.
And what? And if he was ambidextrous here, he could do a left-handed forehand.
He could do a left-handed backhand or forehand from here.
Right. Okay, let's watch this action. Oh my God, he's bombed. He's bombed.
He was having a rough front 9 with the putting for sure.
Hole 8, Gannon Burr struggling, but only 17 years old. Lots of time to still get his groove on. And Brian says he's one of the best. Okay, Paul McBeth, 33-26. This will be the longest. Oh, no. He actually doesn't make it in the basket. This won't be the longest shot you see of the day, but it'll be one of the better shots. I don't think he puts it in. This is at 180 feet. Yeah. And Macbeth is the current world champion, you said, Brian? Is that what you said?
He's a defending world champion. He's a 6-time world champion. And in the last 10 disc golf world championships, he's finished first or second every time.
Wow. Okay. So he's like the GOAT.
He's
like
considered
Tia.
He's like, I would say he's more like Rich.
Okay. More like Rich. Okay. Here we go. Oh, and he looks senior. Wow.
Yeah,
so that hit the flag, huh?
Yeah. And I actually always have some, like, on some courses and some holes, they have the flags on top of the basket like that, and on some they don't. The reasons for having them there vary. It could be just to have a better line of sight because sometimes there's hills so you can see where it is. Sometimes they're there to help the players get a wind read. In this case, though, nobody is there's very few people in the world that are trying to make that. He's trying to make that, and you can tell by the way he's throwing it. It wouldn't be coming in that high if he wasn't trying to make that putt. And that's what I was saying earlier, is he's more aggressive than almost anyone else, because even if that misses and goes 40 feet past, he knows he's going to make it 19 out of 20 times.
It's a brilliant throw.
Yeah. And it's a
beautiful throw.
The first time I ever watched disc golf, I watched with my brother, and he'd been playing and watching before me. And he's told me, we watched some guys on the card, and then they showed the finals. And in the finals, in 6th place or 7th place was Paul McBeth. And he goes, that guy's in the top 10 of every tournament. He's the best player out there, along with one other guy. And 3 years later, he still is in the mix in every single tournament.
I got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he would be the best. If we could get him on, that would be incredible.
I think I heard he's 37.
He might be. Yeah. He also has a foundation called the Paul McBeth Foundation that, starting I think about 18 months ago, has been putting in disc golf courses in underserved civilizations internationally, which is pretty cool.
Underserved civilizations.
Communities maybe is a better word.
I like it. No, let's go civilizations. That's good. I haven't heard that before. So that's 180 feet, guys. That's a shot. 34 minutes. Garrett Guthrie.
Girthy.
Guthrie. Guthrie. No, Guthrie. I have a Guthrie. From his knees. I used to do this at the beach just to show off. Just catch one and just not even stand up all the way and throw it. I'm assuming he's not doing it to show off.
He's doing it because there's some obstacles in his way, and they thought it was the best line to the basket. Garrett Guthrie is not as old as Paul McBeth, but in disc golf, in order to have a rating, you have to have a number, like a pro tour number. So my number is like 204146 because I was a 4,146th person to sign up. Garrett Gurthie's number is like under 10,000 because he started playing when he was 6 years old, and he's been playing ever since. He also makes Garrett Gurthie's beef jerky. That's pretty good. If anyone out there likes beef jerky.
Oh shit, we should
That's
get
his-
him on
that's
too.
a logo
I
for
don't.
the
I don't
hat,
approve
double
of his
G.
jacket. I want to tell you, I don't approve of his jacket. I don't think that that's like. There are a couple things out here that I saw that don't make me take the sport seriously, and that jacket's one of them. I don't like. There's no. I know it's windy out there, by the way. For those of you who are wondering how windy it is, I think they actually said it was 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, so like I said, this tournament takes place in Vegas. It's the first tournament every year, but it's never really good weather for this tournament. It's always variable weather. Like it can be from like 40 to 70 degrees. And a lot of times, sometimes you'll get a good wind day, but a lot of times it's like 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, and they're not sustained. They're gusts.
Podcast needs a lot of beef jerky. Sevan spent a lot of time on his knees in his homeless phase. That's not even funny. Sevan always showing off from his knees. That's a little better. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. So Gannon 3415. We go back to Gannon Burr. The 17-year-old has put on 25 pounds of muscle. He's got a short miss here, and I don't know why I have so many of his misses. I like the guy, but he's just having a tough day. Action. Oh my goodness. Oh.
That was just a bad putt. He just was a little bit. It was like a little bit too jerky, I guess.
Not a single birdie on hole 9.
Yeah,
that day. Tough hole, I guess.
Very tough.
Okay. Round 2 highlights. Souza, we're switching to a new YouTube clip. This guy that we are about to see for the first time in the show, his name is Kevin Jones. And
so just to
please,
those guys that were on the coverage in round 1 were selected to be on that coverage. They were, you get a tee time and a group to play your first round in because everyone's coming in with 0 as their score. After the first round, the top 4 players get to play together. The next 4 players get together, and all the way down, the last 4 players get to play together. The last 4 players tee off earliest in the day, and the best players tee off later in the day, just like golf. So now in this second and third round, we're just going to do some highlights from the rounds instead of showing like specific stuff like that. And so they're going to mostly feature the guys that are leading the tournament.
So that first round, the film crew that picks them to follow them, or no,
the tournament,
the film crew that
tournament assigns the groups.
And then Joey Gomez is like, hey, he's like the Buttery Bros or like Hamilton Road. He's like, hey, there's Noah, Tia, Brooke, and Colton Mertens, and we're going to pick them.
There's something called a featured card.
Yeah.
It's the last 4 players to tee off in round 1, and that's what Gomez will cover. There's a second featured card.
And why are they the featured card? They're the best dudes from the previous year.
Every tournament does it a little differently. It might.
How many dudes rolled together? 4, 6,
foursomes?
8? Foursomes.
Yeah.
Never more.
Very, very, very rarely would there be more. There could potentially be. Yeah, there's almost always 4.
Patrick Clark celebrating the golf show. You son of a bitches did it. We did it. We're doing it. Haven't done it yet. Okay. So here's some highlights. Round 2 highlights. We have a granny shot from Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones is a name you want to remember. Him and Calvin will be the leaders, and they duel it out to the very last hole, which we will get to soon. But Kevin Jones is quite the player. Here we go. Kevin Jones with a granny shot. Oh no, it's called what did you call it? I call it a granny shot. What do you call it?
Straddle putt.
Straddle putt.
He's probably going to do, I don't even see him in this frame right here, but he's probably going to do a straddle jump putt. He has a nickname as Jump Putt Jones and also KJ USA. He's a very popular, very athletic, dynamic player. He can do some stuff with the disc that a lot of guys can't do, but he's also him and Garrett Gerthy are the 2 best players that use a straddle putt as their default putting.
Action. Look at all those people out there. Wow.
So because he's outside of the circle 1, he can jump forward like that as he does. And in his case, and in a lot of the players' cases, they'd rather be 34 feet from the basket than 32 because jumping or stepping will create more accuracy or allow them to get to the disc on the line they want with more velocity than standing still inside the circle.
And like Brian keeps pointing out, you pick a chain, and he picked a side chain, but he picked that side chain because at the last minute, and like Brian's been saying, the nose turned down and hit that chain perpendicularly.
And people will, putt with different angles, just like they'll throw with different angles. So he's intentionally, and it's probably because of what the wind is doing. He's having this putt come in at a hyzer angle, and he wants it to hit the chains there on the low right side where he knows it's going to go in.
And you can tell that by the flag, right? The wind, he throws it into the wind a little off right, and then it blows in.
Mm-hmm.
Do they use the term hook shot? We would call them hook shots. No hook shot. I've got to learn a new vernacular. Ours is more of a hood vernacular. We played hood frisbee. We did hood frisbee. There was a lot of drugs and alcohol involved. Okay, so a straddle shot by Kevin Jones. That's a horrible still photo of that guy in his ass right there. By the way, you should go ahead and play that out, Susan. Let's not keep him in that position. Boom. Yeah, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Okay. 202. High on the chains. Explain this to us. I guess it's not good to hit the chains high.
Generally, no. You want to be in the middle or the bottom of the basket when you're coming in because there's just less room for air. This is Simon Lizotte who's about to putt. Simon is a German. He was born in Germany. He's been living in the U.S. for a long time. He's probably one of the most beloved disc golfers in the world. He has a YouTube channel that is the most popular YouTube channel in disc golf. And this offseason, he switched from a company that he was basically like, he and the company grew up together for the past decade, and he switched to a different company that made him a financial offer that he could not turn down. And similarly to CrossFit, there's only a few players that have the earning potential to really be considered professional. But 2 years ago, Paul Macbeth was given a $10 million 10-year contract by Discraft.
Wow.
Which is one of the manufacturing companies.
Wow.
And a lot of the other companies have had to raise their offers to keep their players interested. So that contract has driven forward the earning potential for many of the players. And Simon won 4 tournaments last year, which is really, really difficult to do. And he got rewarded for it in the off season. But he switched his discs and playing with, these guys are good and they can throw anything. But when you're talking about the smallest of margins at the highest level, it takes time to kind of work your discs in, beat them in, trust them, understand exactly which ones to use in which circumstances. And I would expect him to have a bit of a regression this year. He still might do well, but he won't do as well as last year, I don't think, because he had 10 years of experience with those discs. And now he has like 5 months.
So they did say that they kept offering up that excuse for one of the guys. Is this the guy that said he switched discs and he's going to definitely struggle a little bit?
Several players actually made some switches this offseason. He's one of he's the most high profile one who has.
Let me explain the physics to you of why it's important for the disc to go low in the basket. Up at the top of the basket, there's fewer links, and so the chain is more rigid. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it just makes sense to me, right? If you hit it lower, there's more play in the links because there's more play in the strip because there's more links for it to bend at. And if you hit it up higher, it's like hitting more of like a wall and it bounces off, right?
Possibly. The links are a little bit more densely congregated in the bottom, so it's less likely to like slide through the chains.
Oh, no, I like my explanation.
After it hits the chains, it still has to drop to the basket, and especially on a windy course like this, even that drop down of 1 foot can sometimes the wind can blow the disc out. Yeah,
30 to 40 mile an hour winds is for people who don't know. I mean, these discs are lighter than just your 170 gram, ultimate frisbee disc. I mean, heavier, significantly heavier.
No, the players are using will mostly range from 155 to 176.
Okay, so they're lighter, but they feel heavier because they're smaller. They're denser.
Yeah.
But throwing in winds at 10 miles and up with a frisbee is just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for amateur players, I would say playing.
They couldn't play in this. They couldn't play in 30 to 40 mile an hour winds.
No, playing disc golf in the wind when you don't know what you're doing is not even fun.
Right. For me, it would be a blast. I need those types of challenges. Anyway, Simon's high in the chain. Whether you want to believe my reason or Brian's reason or both reasons, it's no good. You don't go high in the chain. 229. A guy hits the hole. So I don't know what you call that thing. He hits the what do you call that device that is the hole?
The basket.
The basket. He hits the basket, but not where the chains are, and then it just sits there underneath it. When that happens, you can go ahead and play this. Can you just set it in? Like, what are the rules of putting it in the basket if you can just set it in the basket?
Yes, this is Anthony Barella, and
look at bam.
Yeah,
you can't get any closer.
Right, he hit the bottom of the basket and it just sits there, so he can go stand next to his disc as long as his foot's behind it, and if he can reach it, he can just drop it in the basket. Anthony Barella is one of the other high-profile players that changed his discs this offseason. He joined up with Discraft, which is where Paul Macbeth is, and it's actually kind of a cool story because Anthony Barella, as a young kid, like in 2015, I think he's only like 22 or 3 now, but in 2015 maybe, he went on tour with Paul Macbeth and Nate Sexton, and they were all playing for Innova at the time, which is a sponsor for this tournament, and he was learning from two of the best players in the world as this young up and coming kid. He's won junior worlds, he's won amateur worlds. He's like going to be a top 10 player in the world for many years, I think. And he was in the contention to win this tournament for a long time as well with brand new discs.
I can't believe he wears those glasses when he plays. Those glasses are crazy.
I wear glasses a lot when I play.
Do you wear those kind, like those? It's like those buttery bro glasses. They're like ski goggles.
I mean, everyone has their preferences. One of the reasons I wear them is so that like this is a very dry course and is very windy. So if like the dust particles aren't blowing around in my eyes or whatever. But most of the players don't wear glasses.
It's also once you are familiar with the players on the tour and you're familiar with Anthony Barella and you're a fan, you can call him AB. That's what he's affectionately known as, AB.
That's right. Very good.
Thank you. Showing off a little bit. 322. We have Simon here with his new discs going for a long putt that's worth recognizing. Another page done.
So Simon uses what's called a spin putt instead of a push putt, and it's pretty good at cutting through the wind.
That's a lucky shot, dude. That didn't even hit the chains.
Yeah, so this hit the band and drops in from the top. They call it like elevator down, basically. And it's like.
Oh no, maybe it hit the chains, or no.
But you can just tell by looking at his body reaction here that he didn't hit his line exactly, and he got lucky that it snuck in.
He'll take it. I'll take it. And 424. This is Andrew. I don't know his last name, but at this point, he's the leader.
Andrew Marweed, he's a young guy from Michigan. I have seen this guy get more unlucky in some crazy situations than probably anyone else when I've been watching disc golf. But his composure, despite having some terrible luck at times, is very impressive. He also is famous for using a cookie as his marker for his disc and around the green. And if he makes big putts, he'll pick it up and eat the cookie.
Wow. Oh, that's clever. Wow, a treat. That's very clever. I like that. Okay, so 424. Can we see his throw? Oh, sorry, 420.
So this is a good example. We saw Simon's putt came in on that angle. We saw Kevin Jones' putt come in on that hyzer angle. This putt, because of the tree, he had to step out to the right and he threw it on an anhyzer angle, and then it flexes back and goes in the chains because he knows it's still an overstable putter, but he has to get it started out on the left, drifting to the right, and then come back to the middle. So it's a more demanding shot.
Let's see, the anhyzer.
And you saw it just like flattened out a little bit, and if it kept flying, it would have gone back to the right. So he started on the left side, worked it back to the middle, hit the chain center.
Great shot. 618, the last on this YouTube video. Check out this footwork and handwork from this guy. This is this guy puts together quite the dance moves here. Check this out. I don't know who this is.
This Simon
same
again.
Same guy, yeah.
That's the dance moves you picked up?
Yeah.
It's just a little cross step, and this is a very touchy shot. He's it's a very slow disc with it. This is an easy shot.
Licked his
for these
hand.
guys.
Licked his hand.
Yeah, just to get a little
No-
bit better grip.
Holds the backside of the disc. He holds the disc with two hands until the last minute too. Like during the windup, he's bracing the disc with his left hand.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at you, Souza, pulling out all the YouTube.
There's a little
tools.
cross step, a little follow through, and this is just a one angle slow disc hyzer shot into the green. It's probably going to land 15 feet short and just slide right up to the pin.
It's beautiful. All righty. Young Simon throws a 300-foot high spike hyzer. Philly B.
There's some incredible footage out there of things that Simon has done.
The final front nine. And here we go. I think this is oh no. Okay. So what we're embarking here in the last half hour of the show, holy shit, I wonder if we can do it. Is we're going to take you through the last 18 holes, and you're going to see the winner of this tournament, and it gets intense. I don't know if they're all this good, but we have a pretty fantastic finish that takes us all the way to the 18th hole. Maybe that's the point of why golf is so exciting, because it is, you put in all that work watching these guys, and then in the 18th hole, it all comes down to just two guys or three guys.
Yeah, and I would say more often than not, with the way that disc golf is right now, in terms of the competition at the top, it's, there's going to be 2 to 4 guys in every tournament with 2 to 3 holes to play.
These guys just seem like they have no muscle mass. I need some eye candy. Anyone on the tour a CrossFitter?
There are some guys in the tour that you would certainly be impressed with their muscle mass. In fact, although he never made it onto any of the coverage that we're showing, there's a guy named Ezra Aderhold. Someone in the comments already mentioned
Ezra Aderhold. Ezra Aderhold. Is that a joke name?
Aderhold. It's one of the. I think it's Barry McCockener's second alias.
yeah, Ezra Aderhold.
And Ezra is very serious about his fitness. I saw someone was asking. He's in very good shape. I saw someone was asking about Brody Smith earlier. Brody Smith is actually relevant in the disc golf. He's probably not relevant to win any tournaments, but he can be a top 20 player this year if he plays a little bit better. And he lost 40 pounds in the off season by changing his exercise regimen and diet.
Oh, tested. A great question, Mason. Any testing going on here in Frisbee golf?
I don't think so.
Does anyone call it Frisbee golf?
Very infrequently, I would say.
I mean, that's going to be my thing then. One guy puts a cookie down on the oh, it is. Look at that, dude. Look at how he spells his name. It's a fucking Simpsons name. That's crazy. Okay, so he's yoked. All right. Get some, Ezra. He looks like a foreigner. Is he a foreigner?
Picture of him. That can't be. That's from this year? Wow. Yeah, this is the guy. Yeah.
Is he a foreigner?
No.
Oh.
He has a
strong glutes. Look at that.
Yeah, nice.
For that straddle shot he's got.
That's the coolest thing about being like a golfer or tennis guy or whatever. You can just wear the tightest clothes and it's just good.
This is
that guy brings his girlfriend on tour with him for sure.
A lot of the players do. I don't know if he has a girlfriend, but this finish of tied second for him at a Pro Tour event is probably one of his best finishes ever.
Hey, how many followers does this guy have? This guy doesn't even have
about 50K.
Hey, is that a can of chew in his pocket?
Wow, it is.
No,
that a boy?
That's a mini. So that's a disc that's about this big that he'll take out of his pocket to mark his disc once it's on the green. That's what the one guy said. He sometimes uses a cookie instead of a mini.
Oh. It's one of those buzzers they give you like at restaurants to tell you when your food's ready. That's a marker. I like Phil. Do you know who this is? Philly B. He's like, this is our number one fan for the show. He's like, oh, I hope the show works out. Okay. Let's do it. The final front nine. Wind is insane. It's the first in these conditions for some of these guys, I believe, Brian. Some of these guys they were saying have never played in 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. And there was a guy who said it's the first time he's played for sure with these discs and these type of winds. This course was developed in 2016. It's the Wild Horse course. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
It has 8,762 feet of throwing. It's a par 61. And when it says 8,762 feet of course, that means from where you stand when you throw it, wherever that is, to the hole, and you add up all the holes, it equals 8,700 feet. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then it's skill level 4.5, which means nothing to me because I don't know how high they go. Does it go to 10?
5.0.
Oh, all right. Well, then it sounds pretty hard.
Most of the best courses in an area will be rated somewhere between 4.2 and 4.5. And there's a few above that.
Trish wants to know, why is this giving me a headache? It's not this show. Change the batteries in your vibrator, Trish. Okay. 557 AB, Anthony Burrell, as some of you know him. It's a putt off the basket. Not a good day for Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony was leading the tournament after 2 rounds. He's still in the top 4 coming into this round. This is the first hole, and it's not a bad putt. It's from far away. He was on a knee. Like you said, it's windy. It's actually
a skipper off the rim. It's a skipper off the rim.
Yeah, so if that's 2 inches left, it's in. But if it's 1 inch lower, it could get on edge and roll out of bounds. It could roll back down the hill. So for hitting the basket and missing, that was actually a great result.
Called that a skipper, and when I used to play hood disc. 612. This is, hey, I even noticed what a casual throw this is, and the commentators even were concerned about how casual this guy is. His name's Eagle McMahon. Maybe you can play the audio on this, and we can hear the commentators. It takes a little while, but they finally say, "Hey, man, that seemed a little casual, a little too casual." Well, watch how this guy throws here. Eagle McMahon not taking his job seriously.
Putts so far this weekend.
Yeah, he hasn't made a one.
Not a single one.
Not a single one outside the circle for Anthony.
And
Barella.
to be here in second place, just imagine if those were dropping.
So, yeah, I mentioned earlier.
We take a little break. Hold on. Let him keep playing. Hold on. A little bit more. Keep playing. Sorry, Brian.
Kevin Jones, an opportunity right off the bat, and he is off the band.
Hold on.
Sorry, are you surprised to see Eagle just lay that up so casually?
Yeah. It's like he's doesn't realize he's at work. It's like he wants to get back to something. What's up?
Kind of been doing it this tournament.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of wind at the moment. The flag. Totally
I agree,
dead.
gentlemen. He's been doing it a lot. What's up with the Eagle?
I mean, it is somewhat noteworthy here. This is the first hole. It's the last round. I had mentioned earlier on the show that Eagle had a lot of opportunities to run putts from that distance in this tournament, and he didn't. Now, and this hole is actually just a microcosm of the entire course. Most of the baskets are in very precarious locations. So from where he was putting, which is down at the bottom of the hill, if he misses low and hits the basket, 8 out of 10 times probably on this course, it's going to get on edge and roll right back to where he was or further away. If he airballs it long and he putts with a great amount of speed, so if he misses the basket altogether, it's probably going to go over that hill and out of bounds. So he was just taking all the risk out of the situation and saying, instead of going for this putt and maybe getting a stroke, I'm just going to lay it up, take my par, and move on to the next one and avoid the big number.
Don't question Eagle. He's a badass. Fine.
Eagle McMahon had an injury last year, and he only played in a couple events. If you want to see the best disc golf that you'll ever see, I would go watch the European Championships any round, either of the last 2 rounds. The battle between him and Paul Macbeth set so many records of the best 2 players relative to a course, relative to par, relative to like a rating. It was incredible. And Eagle did all of that without throwing a single forehand, which is arguably his best shot because of an elbow injury. And on several throws, even threw it left-handed in a tournament.
How did he hurt himself?
Probably just throwing the discs too many times, too aggressively.
Because they did say that they wonder if he'll ever get back to his top form.
He threw, from what I saw this weekend, he only threw 1 forehand the whole weekend.
Stephen Plyler, did Sevan lose a bet to do this show for Brian? There are rumors of that circulating. I cannot confirm or deny. I definitely was not on Epstein's Island. 709. shoots with a backpack on. This is like, what the fuck, dude? I don't approve of just a lazy throw from the Eagle. I don't approve of this guy's fucking wearing a jacket, Steven Andrews or whatever his name is. And I don't approve of this backpack shot. What? Come on, boys. Come on. Do you think Paul Macbeth shoots with a backpack on?
Let me see the shot. Yeah, from
Okay.
if they're within 10 feet, yes.
709.
I haven't seen.
Here we go. Look at this guy. Oh, this is the same guy. This is
Eagle.
Mr. Fucking I don't give a shit. Mr. Eagle.
No, that's not true at all about him.
Okay. All right, fine. We'll give him a pass. So this guy shoots with the back hook on. You're okay with that? You're saying from less than 10 feet.
Yeah, I'm sure there are times that he wouldn't do that, but in this case, it's fine.
Okay. This guy, 1126. Oh, back to the Eagle. 1126. What's this guy Eagle doing near the out of bounds line?
Well, I remember this shot.
I don't mean that facetiously. The commentators say that he should give himself more room or something. So explain to us what's going on here, if you can.
So if you throw the disc out of bounds, or if your disc is in bounds but within a meter of out of bounds, you're allowed to take a meter away from the out of bounds line in any direction you want. The reason being is because you're not allowed to throw your disc with any part of your body standing out of bounds. So you can take a meter and then you can get a stance where your entire body is in bounds. They might be saying if that's his disc there on the lower right, that's within a meter of the out of bounds, and he should move a little bit closer to the basket or further away from out of bounds to improve his footing. And if he's choosing not to do it, then they're questioning why.
Okay, let's see. So maybe he's playing too strict by the rules. Sevan Spring for YouTube Premium. I don't know what's going on here. It's probably just not signed into the right account. Okay, so right there, they're saying that he could have moved that out further to give himself more room. They're saying that that's not 3 feet.
Yep.
Even the commentators are like, "Yo, dude, give yourself a little more room."
And look, it was in bounds by less than maybe an inch.
So why? Where's the out of bounds?
The path. But
onto the grass.
If any part of the disc is on the grass in this case, then it's inbounds.
Oh, so
if that disc was 1 inch closer to us, it would be out of bounds.
No shit. Wow.
But because it's inbounds by an inch, he can take up to a meter from that spot, and he can putt from there.
And so, and it's kind of their like the honor system, right? No one's coming over there with a tape measure and pulling it out.
So there's a specific rule that you can take 3 foot lengths. If your foot is a size, I think 9 or 10 or bigger, but if it's less than that, like yours, then you can get 3 foot lengths plus like the width of your foot instead of the length of your foot.
Barry, my Cockiner, back to CrossFit quick. Look at Ariel Lowen's story. Should those thrusters count? I don't need to go over there, and I'll tell you hers count for sure, 100%. Yep. And it's just good. We good, Mr. McCockiner? Thank you, Suze. You approve of that? Okay. So so he didn't take enough room there. Can you rewind that just a little bit and you play it out a little bit? We hear the commentators to see if Brian is as good as them or better. Let's see.
Like it was just going to die next to the bullseye, but he's going to have a little bit of work there.
Eagle McMahon.
That's the smallest meter I've ever seen.
Tiny.
Give yourself the 3 full feet there.
So
Eagle.
he took 3 steps backwards, but he put it at the back of his second foot. But he still has plenty of room to take his stance here. So he's putting from where he wanted to. And I think they're being a little bit overly critical.
Right. And they're just loving on him. It's a fellow player, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Eagle McMahon, when healthy, is one of the 3 best players in the world. And those 3 players, in my opinion, are a tier above everyone else. Even though they don't win all the tournaments, they are the top 3.
Eagle, Paul, and who's the other guy?
His name is Ricky Wysocki. He didn't play in this tournament. He's currently having a wrist injury.
He's having a wrist injury.
He's dealing with a wrist injury. Right behind them in that next group is Calvin Heimberg and a couple other guys. And 2 years ago, there were 4 players rated over 1050. Those 4 guys, Calvin, Eagle, Paul, and Ricky. And they were known as the 1050 boys that year.
Oh, and why is that?
So the player ratings is an exponential scale, and the top, I think the highest rating ever that anyone's had is in the low 1060s. Like Paul Macbeth might have been 1061 one year. Being over 1050 is insane, and 4 guys were that at one time. Almost all of the guys that are playing on the Pro Tour now are somewhere between 1020 and 1040, or at least all the good players. There's a lot, like half of the field is a little bit less than that. But for example, my rating is like 890 or something, and it's exponential. So to go from 890 to 900 is not that hard. To go from 1030 to 1040 is very hard.
Okay, fair. Disc golf players. So sorry, we went over this. Is there testing in disc golf? Drug testing?
I haven't heard any controversy surrounding drugs in disc golf.
He's avoiding the question. Is there a standard basket height, Brian? It looks like it varies.
There might be like a standard basket height for a traditional basket, but the each course and the Disc Golf Pro Tour that designs the course will have varied heights for their baskets. And I think that there's actually like a requirement to have at least 2 elevated baskets on the Pro Tour courses. So this is at least one of 2 on the course.
Have you ever seen one just sitting on the ground? I've never seen that.
They're not quite that, but there are some that are lower to the ground than average also.
Okay, 1234, if you can play this clip with the audio. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to stump Brian here. You don't see this very often. We're going to ask him about some golf vernacular, and I suspect it's going to be tough for us to see Brian swim in the deep end. Okay, here we go.
Maybe that's the first squeak we've seen.
Pause. Brian, maybe that's the first squeak we've seen. The fuck is a squeak, please?
I think I need more context there.
Okay, can we rewind it a few more seconds and we'll give Brian. Brian, would you like to call someone? What is that called? Like a helpline?
Phone a friend?
Yeah. Here we go.
There's not going to be any extra information here if it's helpful.
Maybe that's the first squeak we've seen.
I think that those 3 guys do so much commentary together. There's probably a running thread to the conversation that they're referring to, but yeah, it certainly could be that he just barely slipped it over the edge, squeaked it in, maybe.
Okay, so there's no. So you think I'm being too myopic, and there's no real Frisbee vernacular there or jargon. It's just squeaked it in, like the mouse squeaked in. Nothing.
Maybe
special.
I think there's probably a little bit more to it than I would know from just watch. I didn't watch this post-production coverage. I watched the live tournament, and it was different guys doing the commentary.
Right. That was kind of like Name That Tune and Jeopardy. Like I didn't give you a lot to work with, and there was a question. Okay, here we go. Part 2. Let's see if Brian can redeem himself. We go to 1340 with some other jargon from the Jomez Pro coverage of the 2023 Las Vegas Challenge. At 1340, we hear a term here. Listen closely, people. Action.
I don't know, 70 feet to the gate. So you got to get your line
Ooh.
right. And that wasn't it. I mean, he does navigate the triple Mando, but so
Pause. Triple Mando? Triple Mando seems like something you do when you're on Molly and Polk Street in San Francisco. Hey, I'm doing the Triple Mando. Especially if you're a black dude. I'm doing the Triple Mando.
It's short for mandatory. So
a triple mandatory, okay.
In the case of that, when he says it's 70 feet to the gate, 70 feet away from the tee box is that erected barrier.
Can we see that again, Souza?
The triple barrier, the triple Mando means it has to go lower than the top one, to the right of the left one, and to the left of the right one. So it has to go through that gate. And
okay,
because there's a
and that
barrier
thing's
on
called the triple Mando.
So sometimes there'll be a tree right in like 30 feet off the tee pad, and there might be an arrow on it that says Mando left. And that means your disc has to go to the left of that tree, and that'll eliminate maybe a spike hyzer line around the right side of the tree. So in this case, they're just demanding accuracy. It has to go through those 3 barriers, and if it doesn't, then you have a penalty stroke and throw from a designated spot.
Okay, but what? So I understand he's got to go right in the hole. Thank you, Will. Familiar with that requirement. But a triple mandatory. So mando is short for mandatory. But what's a triple mando? There's three.
Because the mandatory is not just to the left and not just to the right and not just below, but it's all three of those.
Oh. Why don't they call it a quad mando? Because the ground is there too. The fuck, a triple mando. These fucking guys. Hey, so you're telling me that if you threw a fucking wild high hyzer up over the right side of that structure and then had it tomahawk down into the hole, that's no good. It's got to go through there.
Yeah, you would incur a penalty stroke and you would be forced to throw from a designated drop zone, throwing your third shot.
So there's two things that could have gone wrong here, people. One, usually a frisbee for good frisbee players, the frisbee will go basically wherever you look. It's called art and the zen of archery, art and the zen of motorcycle maintenance, art and the zen of frisbee. Your body, once you get good enough, it'll do. I mean, I don't know so much on a windy day like this, but your body will just do what it needs to do to get the frisbee to go where you want it to go. Your eyes see it, it talks to your body, you've had enough practice, and it just does it. But if you look at the wrong thing, like if you look at that pole, you'll hit that pole. I'm guessing that guy's good enough that that's not what happened.
This is just a late release. He just held on to the disc too long. It did make it through the triple mandatory, but then it hit something immediately. So he's way further.
Oh,
back
you think it made it through the triple mandatory? I think it hit that thing. I think he was throwing a good. If that triple mando wouldn't have been there, that his hyzer shot was good enough that it was going to get near that basket, near that flag. I just think he just chose a rough angle.
No, I think he just lets it go a little late.
Let's see. I'd put it right up over the top of that fucking thing. Let's see. It looks like it cleared it. It looks like it cleared it.
When I watched this shot, I thought it got past the mando, but then hit a tree.
Yeah, I think you're right. Crazy. All right. Yeah, you're right. He let it go late. It didn't look like it had any hyzer on it, actually. It didn't look like it was going to hook left at all, right?
It probably would have late in the flight, but it was a pretty flat release. He likes to throw something. This guy particularly likes to throw the hyzer flip to flat. So he releases it on a hyzer angle with an understable disc that flips up to fly flat for a long time and then finishes back to the left.
God, I love it. I'm starting to like this. I'm starting to enjoy this. I'm going to go out. I have a basket out across the street from my house. Tomorrow, I'm going to take my discs out there and I'm going to throw like a 300-foot shot as many times as I can until it looks like I got a hole in one. And I'm going to post it.
How many discs do you have?
I don't know, 10.
I'd love to see them.
Okay, I'll send you a picture. Okay, so we now know what a triple mando is. Oh, there he is. For the first time on the show, an hour and 22 minutes, we have Calvin Heimberg.
We actually featured him right at the first minute of the show as well.
Oh, okay. Calvin Heimberg makes his second appearance in the show.
Very clever by the show director.
Thank you. 1520. He's a great dude. 1527. Calvin with the great putt. He's a negative 25 here. That means he's 25 under par.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Usually in this tournament, you have to be close to 40 under par to win, but the conditions were extremely difficult on all 4 days this year.
They put up a quintuple mando. Supreme Community Fitness sounds like a white supremacist organization. Accuracy, strength, power, agility, coordination in one motion. Okay, let's see. Let's check it out. Calvin. Boom. Oh, could we rewind it a few seconds? Sorry.
So this is a pretty good putt. It is coming in a little high, but it's just dying right in there at a pretty slow speed, and it's pretty unlikely that's going to miss. He has a fairly flat release on his putt, and one of the sayings that's pretty synonymous with Calvin's putt is, or he calls it, putting the pizza in the oven. He wants to release it flat so it can just go nice and smooth in the oven. So while some of the guys have that hyzer putt, his comes out mostly flat. And
is that what's the grenade shot too? Because he's got is that a grenade toss?
No, actually, the best grenade thrower is probably Kevin Jones. You grab it with your knuckles like this, and you throw it straight up in the air like that.
Oh,
It's crazy.
what do you do that for?
Trish knows.
Okay.
To go over the top of an object and then land coming in with an aggressive descent.
Hole 5, 642, par 4. They said Eagle was injured and he's not the best version of himself. We reviewed that. We don't know exactly what happened, but Brian says it's just from the game. 19, Calvin. We get to see Calvin feeling himself on hole 5. He got a little strut. Jordan Peterson also was at the tournament, and it was very impressive. He loves the game. He understands the intellectual prowess needed to play the game. 1919.
So a bit of an obstructed lie here, but he fires it in there pretty good.
Did I fuck that up too? God, I really fucking the time codes up. I'm really sorry.
Always go 4 seconds before what he says. So you see there, it's flying pretty flat. And in this case, I'm going to guess that he had a tailwind behind him, which we could see the flag probably blowing in the same direction that he's throwing it. Yeah. So the disc is going to start about at the height of the basket, but the tailwind's going to drop it right into the middle of the basket.
Hole 6, can't play safe because of the water. I don't know. It's not like that. I don't know what my notes mean. Let's see. 2206. Maybe I'll remember when I see my notes, when I see the shot. 2206. I think that there's a water feature here that they have to clear.
Yeah, this is a...
Oh, here we go. Let me mention this, and then, Brian, you talk about this. They basically have to throw this disc onto a fucking island.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys are saying, hey, you can't play this safe and think that you're just going to throw it short. It could be, for some reason, it won't work. We'll see if Brian can explain it, or maybe we'll play the video clip and they'll talk about it. 2206.
So this is a short hole, but it has a very specific landing zone. It's only 222 feet. You're throwing it over out of bounds a majority of the time. And the problem is, if you land on the right side of the basket, we're looking at like the reverse angle here. So at the left side of this, but the right side of the basket from the tee, is a good chance that it can just bounce the wrong way and roll into the water, and it's OB. If you miss it too far to the left, then you have to putt it straight back at the water. And there's hardly any space between the basket and the water. So if you miss that putt, most likely it's going to go in the water. So you're looking for a pretty narrow landing zone. But these guys are so good that most of them are getting birdies on this hole anyway.
Okay, can we play this? 2224 or 22? Yeah, 2224. No, 2206. Sorry, you're good. Okay, here we go.
So Kevin's disc came up a little bit short here, but it was still safe, and he's only about 20 feet from the basket, which is very routine putt for them.
Okay, and that's where they were saying you can see he throws it really hard at the basket, not concerned that if he missed, it would go another 20 feet past it. And they were saying he has to do that. I don't know why, for whatever the conditions are.
You don't want to miss it low here because it could easily just roll down the hill into the water. If you miss it too high, it's going to go past. But it still is a little tailwind putt. So he's starting it higher in the chains than he wants it to finish, and the wind is just dropping it right down to the spot that he wants. But like I said, 20-foot putt for these guys is, especially with the tailwind, is very, very routine. Headwind is a little bit harder.
2224, you're going to see here, just so you know what it looks like. This is when the basket's or your disc is so close to the basket that you can just set it in. I think it's Calvin who does it. He just sets his disc in the hole. Oh no, it's this guy.
They all do it, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, he does that in one motion, throwing it in and bending down to pick it up. It's just so sloppy. I don't like it. Like, do it as two separate motions. One of these days, it's going to bounce out when they do that, and they're going to regret it. That's had to have happened before.
Yeah.
2409, going for the bunker. Okay, so this hole is this. So this is a golf course that they just kind of take over. This is a real golf course.
Yep.
And they don't mind the guy, but they don't play the actual golf course. They rework it.
Yeah.
Okay, so these guys specifically are going for the bunker. That's the strategy for this hole.
Yes and no. This is a very unique hole. It's not very long relative to what they can throw as a max distance. So the flag is reachable. The problem is there's out of bounds or hazards everywhere. The entire golf green is considered out of bounds. So if your disc stops on the golf green, you have to throw from somewhere else with a penalty shot. If it goes in one of the bunkers that are surrounding the hole, if we play with just any one of the drives, people will be able to see what I'm talking about. But the bunkers are considered a hazard. If you throw it in the bunker, you can putt from where your disc is, but you're putting your third shot, even though it's only your second throw. So if you land in the bunker and make the putt, you still get a 3, which is a birdie.
Really? If you go in a bunker, it counts as an extra shot?
Hazard. You play it as it lies. If you go out of bounds, then you have to play from a designated area. There's also out of bounds deep on this green.
I didn't know that. I thought just a bunker just meant you were in a tough situation. You also get a penalty stroke?
Yeah. In this case, they were playing the bunkers as a hazard. So you play it from the bunker, but you get an extra stroke.
Oh, well, the commentators were saying these guys were going for the bunker as a strategy.
Right, because it's better to be in the bunker than out of bounds long or on the golf green short.
Wow.
But the optimal situation is that you land in between the bunkers close to the basket and you can make a putt for eagle.
Okay, 2409. Check it out. Straight to the bunker, hole 7.
So it's actually probably good that it stopped in the bunker there, because if he had landed 3 feet longer, it would have skipped on the turf and gone probably out of bounds. So, and maybe he's throwing it at that angle, hoping that wherever it hits, it just stops and sticks there. He doesn't want a lot of ground play.
Calvin ends up getting a 6 on a par 4. And the commentators start speculating at this point, our boy Calvin is out of the tournament, that basically he can no longer win it.
Yeah. And it's, Calvin, I think last year he had something like 18 or 19 top 10 finishes, but he only had 1 win. So he's always in the mix, but he struggles to get the big wins. I mean, he gets them once in a while, but for as often as he's in contention, something like this frequently happens to him, where he just has 1 hole that blows it up and he loses by 2 to 3 strokes because of it.
So they gave him a double bogey.
He ended up with a double bogey here. I think he had 2 penalty shots, so he actually only took 4 strokes, but his score showed 6, and it was a double bogey.
Okay, and then we go to we go to 2740, hole 8, and Calvin redeems himself a bit with a birdie.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying. The best guys in the world and the people that often win the tournaments are really, really good at bouncing back from an unfortunate hole or situation. And it's not uncommon for the best players to have a bogey, double bogey, triple bogey, and then reel off like 5 birdies in a row after that.
Are all the discs the same size? Do they have to be the same size, the same diameter?
There are some specifications, but no, there's a little bit of a range.
Variance? Okay, 2740. Calvin making up for his last double bogey with the birdie here on hole 8.
Oh, we missed the putt there. It was about 5 seconds before that.
Oh, that's weird. It's really weird. Boom.
So again, he's probably putting with the tailwind, and he's getting it up high and letting it drop into the basket. And these guys, when they're approaching the green, are conscious of where the wind is, and they want to be putting with the tailwind, not into the headwind more often than not.
Hole 9, par 4, 641 feet. We're going to look at Kevin Jones, who is the current leader, and he hits a tree. What do you call that? The first throw? Is that your drive?
Yeah,
your drive. Okay.
Everything's just like golf. There's a tee pad. You throw the drive from the tee pad, and then you got to play up to the green and put it in the hole.
2858. And this isn't a good sign, right? You don't want to hit trees.
Yeah, and especially now when we're considering the fact that on the triple Mando hole, he'd already pulled one to the right. So a lot of times, just like anything that's hand-eye coordination or very, very demanding of timing, when you start to have when you have one miss and then you have the same miss and you have like 2 or 3 of the same misses in a row, that's where you can kind of see something's off with his game today. He's not feeling it off the tee.
Holy shit, there's a lot of clips left. Okay, action. Right off the tree. This is no bueno. Bam. You don't even get to see it.
So this was an opposite mistake. This is just an early release. That was a really bad shot.
And then Kevin Jones once again at 30-56. Like I said, he's the leader and going into hole 9, and he throws it out of bounds, and then which causes him to pick up an extra stroke, and then he has to throw this in, and he ends up getting a bogey. Not good for Kevin Jones, but still winning.
So what happened here is, first of all, like I mentioned earlier, he's inside.
Oh, so that's the shot. I'm sorry, real quick. He was going for a birdie. He hit the top of the basket. It went out of bounds, and instead of it being a birdie, he picks up a penalty stroke. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, and the same thing happened to Paul Macbeth on this hole earlier on the previous card that I didn't have you watch. But because he's inside the red feather there, he's not allowed to do his jump putt. So he has to do that standstill putt. And he's not as good from 32 feet as he is from 34. In this case, he misses by a couple inches. It hits off the band, and it bounces into a bunker. The bunker is a hazard, so he has to add another stroke and take a putt from there, which he makes, and that's how he gets the bogey.
All right. And then we go to the final video. Oh, so we're doing good. Actually, it's not as bad as I thought. Oh, we're cruising. Final 9 people. And here's where we have I think we're going here. I think Kevin Jones is leading by a stroke as we go into, or no, maybe 2 strokes as we go into the final 9. And we go to hole 10. And this is the shot that we talked about in the beginning of the show where one of the volunteers at 145 gets drilled by one of these discs. These discs are really hard plastic if you've never felt one. They're not your typical. I mean, a typical Frisbee hurts, but this shit is going to fucking really hurt. Dustin Simpson, help with your first month of YouTube Premium. What a generous man. Tell your girl I said hi. All right, here we go.
So this is Anthony Barella, and he's in contention at this point in the tournament.
How's he? Look at his body. How does anyone get their body like that? Look at that.
So that's why they have elbow injuries occasionally.
Okay.
There's the velocity that they're throwing these things at. These guys are throwing it at 70 plus miles an hour arm speed or disc speed.
Now watch this. This thing, look at, oh my goodness. Hey, the cameraman almost gets hit. Hey, so you're saying it hits that guy and he gets out of bounds. He gets a hazard stroke for that.
Yeah, you can kind of see it here. So it comes in, it's going to go well past this bunker and be in an incredible position. Honestly, one of the best positions anyone's ever been in on this hole. This guy is an absolute animal, but it skips and hits that guy in the ankle and falls into the bunker. The guy is absolutely devastated. I mean, that guy's hands are in his head. He looks like he's going to cry. Like he cannot believe that he did this. And it's really unfortunate.
Does he is that worse than Becky Harsh allowing Vellner to bend his knees? Like, where does that rank? And for us CrossFitters, how bad is that right there?
I mean, this is pretty bad. Now, there's always a catch cam, which is what that's called, that's getting that shot from over there. But throughout this round, there were several players that threw it in that bunker. Paul Macbeth went in that bunker. A couple others skipped out over that bunker. So I think it was just a poor place to stand. They should have been standing on the far side of the bunker. They still could have got the same footage from there. I'm not going to compare it to the other situation.
It's the same. Okay, so that volunteer is there to protect the cameraman. Is that what? Why is there a volunteer there? Even
they are. He was doing something with a rangefinder. He might have actually been measuring I don't know what exactly he was measuring, but they're allowed to be there, and I just think they made a bad choice of where to stand.
Well, we know that for sure. So that guy said, was he injured?
I don't know. But he sure felt bad about it.
I wonder if he gets fired. How do you know? You saw in the footage?
Yeah, in the live footage they show him, and he's sitting there in the bunker, and he's just like devastated. And he looks down and at the disc right next to him, and he's just like, I mean, it's awful. The guy's tied for third place right now. There's it's the back nine of the tournament. It's Sunday. Like that cost Anthony 1 or 2 shots on this hole.
AB. Tough break. How often does that happen? The dudes get hit on the course.
That's pretty rare. It has like last year there was a tournament where some fan left their umbrella by a tree and a disc came in and hit the umbrella and bounced out of bounds. Like that, and it really should not happen, but occasionally it does, and it's
okay, ladies and gentlemen. CrossFit's not looking so bad now, huh? The old hit the umbrella and bounced out of bounds. 340, hold 10. The game still continues. Does Brian Friend fully understand the jargon of Frisbee golf? We are about to see. Maybe we should go to 335. Oh, yeah, 339. That's good. Can we play this with audio? And let's test Brian out here. Listen carefully for the words. Action.
Look, we know we're experts on what it
We
means.
get it.
All three of us are. That goes sliding.
Look at that. Wow.
That's a chicken chunk.
Do you need us to replay that? Do you need more context? The word in question, Brian, is chicken chunk. He said that is a chicken chunk. Please tell us with your great wisdom, what is a chicken chunk?
I have never heard that before. That's
Shut the
pretty funny.
fuck up. Are you kidding me? You don't know that one?
I've watched every tournament for the last 3 years. A lot of them by these guys. I never have heard the term chicken chunk.
Okay. Rewind it 10 seconds. They say it 3 times. Listen. Yes, the chicken chunk. The chicken chunk. Okay, go back in like 10
Keep
seconds.
in mind, those 3 guys have been playing disc golf for like 50 years combined.
Go back another 10 seconds. Let's do this. Maybe we might have to look this up. I thought it was the chicken choke. Yeah, that's a different game, but I appreciate you participating, Heidi. Okay, here
One might say that he chicken chunked it. Calvin not chicken chunking. That's a park job.
Oh, they have.
Okay,
a
pause.
chicken chunk.
Okay. So there's 3 chicken chunks we just got. That's a chicken chunk. No, it's not a chicken chunk. It's a park job. It's not a chicken chunk. Okay, now let's keep going.
Look, we know we're experts on what it
We
means.
get it.
All three of us
we know.
are. That goes sliding.
Look at that. Wow.
That's a chicken chunk.
All right. That's funny. I when I heard it in my notes, I called it a chicken chunker. Okay, so we've that's 2. We don't the old squeak and the chicken chunk. We'll need to look those up later. Anthony Barella is AB. It's finally at an hour and a half of watching this. I finally realized his nickname is AB. 640, an obstructed look at hole 11 for Anthony Barella. I fucking hate an obstructed look. Look at this guy stuck behind a tree. He looks like he's in a gunfight, kind of, right? That posture.
This hole was honestly was baffling to me in the final round. It should be a pretty routine hole for them, and a lot of the guys that were in contention messed this hole up.
Look at that tree. Looks like it was struck like lightning.
That's
Actually,
pretty cool.
Looks first. AB.
boom. Oh, he's bummed. He is bummed. Okay.
I
So he
think
misses.
Yeah, I mean he's at this point. Remember, he's coming off that previous hole where he had something that was out of his control happen. He did manage to save a par on that hole, I think, but he should have got a birdie. He threw a bad shot off the tee, and he's going to take a bogey here. And I mean, sometimes this happens where he threw the putt and he thought he knew what it was going to do, and as soon as it comes out of his hand, the wind just drops the putt right away, and it never had a chance. So he was pretty devastated by that a little bit.
Calvin Heimberg here is about to show his autistic tendencies. Shot at 721. I want you to notice how many discs this dude is carrying around. You cannot tell me this is necessary. Watch. He's going to come into the frame here in a second. Look at these guys. These guys are just throwing in their gimme shots. He's going to come in from the right. Look at this. What? For starters, zip your fucking bag up. It's giving me anxiety. Like some shit's going to fall out. Look at that rack of discs. That's insane. Why in 2 pouches? The top ones are the ones he's using, and the other ones just help him with his OCD. It's like a Linus's blanket.
Everyone organizes their bag differently. I don't actually know if there are any rules about the number of discs you're allowed to have on the course, but I'd say most of them have between 18 and 28 discs in their bag. And the top ones are generally the slower ones and the putters. He actually has a few more compartments on that bag that he stores discs in than most.
And look at he got water with him. He needs that. He needs dude just getting a ruck in. Yeah, no shit. Hey, he needs to get a caddy.
Some of the players use caddies, and some of them have not the bags that roll on, like carts that roll instead of bags that you carry.
He has an insecurity about the size of his discs. Exactly. God, it's crazy. Okay, so we saw Calvin's bag. Hole 12, the tournament starts for these guys. So the commentators are saying hole 12 is where it really now it's on. It's showtime. I think basically by the time you get to hole 12 also, there's a chance that you could play so poorly, on these and be with the final group of badasses, but that you actually finish 10th or 11th or 12th, right? I mean,
yeah, Anthony Barella ended up finishing tied for 8th in this tournament. Eagle McMahon finished 13th. So 2 of the 4 guys that are on this card didn't really have a great last day. The other 2 guys ended up finishing 1st and 2nd.
Okay, so hole 12, they're saying the tournament finally starts here. 9:48. Oh, here's another bag. Here's another bag observation. I must have been obsessing on the bag. Speaking of autistic, 9:48. What's on that guy's bag? Oh yeah, look at this. What is this? Is this a toy? I think my kid has this. I think you hold this wooden thing, and you go like this, and then you catch the ball in different angles. Is that what that is?
Yeah. He's just because sometimes on the course there are backups. So you might get to a tee box and there you have to wait for like 20 or 30 minutes before you can tee off. So he brings something that occupies his mind and keeps him, loose and relaxed while he has to wait there instead of being stressed.
Is that really what it's for? You've heard about that? He's talked about that?
I've seen him doing it.
Wow. Crazy.
He's pretty good with it. It's not surprising. I mean, he obviously has amazing hand-eye coordination. So
I hope so. Okay. So you can bring your favorite. My kids would love this game. They like taking their favorite toy with them everywhere they go. Can I bring a toy with me? Sure. Go ahead. Hole 14, 777 feet. They call it the luckiest hole in golf. Hey, so do they set up these exact same courses every year?
Yes and no. Most of the time, most of the stops on the Disc Golf Pro Tour are the same every year. Occasionally, there are some new ones. And more often than not, there are minor tweaks to every course each year. So they might make a few changes, like 2 to 3 changes on the course, but a majority of it stays the same.
All right. So when they say luckiest hole in golf, is that because they set this hole up every year?
I think that this course has had very few changes since it was created in 2016.
1818. Calvin shit in the bed again, missing a much needed birdie on hole 14, which puts him 2 back behind the leader. You're going to see this at 18. Oh, here we go. 1815. Good job, Souza, starting 3 seconds early. Calvin Heimberg. Oh, what's that called when you hit the top of the basket?
It's called the band. So he hit the band, but again, you saw it was a tailwind. So he was expecting it to drop. It didn't drop as much as he thought. That could have been a lot worse. It could have hit the band and went out of bounds or rolled out of bounds, but it stayed reasonably close where he was able to clean up the par putt.
All right. Hole 15, 1940. Calvin trying to redeem himself with a great opening drive from the tee. Did I say all that right?
Yeah, and the shots that he throws on hole 15 and hole 16 are 2 of the best shots of the entire tournament.
Okay, here we go. 1940. Souza starting 3 seconds early.
No, he needs to go back a little bit.
Maybe even 5 seconds. Oh no. Oh, maybe is he about to throw?
He just threw.
Oh,
but
okay.
Actually, there was another guy that threw a better shot on this hole. It was Paul Macbeth. The shot that Calvin threw on hole 16 is insanely good. This is a really far par 3, 439 feet, and it demands a very specific shot. You basically have to get the disc moving right and then have to get it moving back to the left because of the way that the trees are aligned. So he throws it on a little bit of a hyzer angle. It flips over to that right drift, and then it flips back at the perfect time. The thing, he came into this basket at the height of the basket. Almost everyone in the tournament, if they're getting close, is coming in and skipping up to the basket. So he was ace running it is what they called it.
You can see the disc, by the way, just to the left of the screen, still rolling. There it is. Yeah.
So it wasn't the closest disc to to the basket. There were guys who threw it closer to the basket, but no one else was throwing it in there where if it was just a few feet to the left, it would have hit the chains.
They said this was I think they were alluding to the fact that this was a bit of a risk for Calvin, but he knew that they were getting down to the final holes and he started to have to take some risks. And if you go to 21-30, you'll see he capitalizes on that risk.
Yeah,
right
and again,
here.
this is like, you know, a 33-4 foot putt. He's just outside the circle, but unlike Kevin Jones, he's not going to do a jump or a step putt. He sticks with his like the same routine, even as he extends further and further away from the basket.
Go ahead, Souza, anytime. Bam. Hole
So-
15, par 3, he gets the birdie. So he put that in two.
Yeah, and again, he's putting with the tailwind, so the disc is dropping right into the bottom of the chains where he wants it.
We go to hole 16. Calvin gets another birdie. Let's check out 27-02. And this is an important hole for Kevin Jones also. Like I said, they are very close to one another. Kevin has, I think, a one-stroke lead.
Yeah, and we're just going to see the putt here, but the shot that he threw to get to this position is a shot that 95% of the players wouldn't have risked throwing. It's a pretty long, almost 900-foot par 4 with a specific landing zone that you want to be in, and then a green that you have to clear to get over to get close to the basket. So Kevin Jones and most of the other players laid up short of that green, pitched up an easy shot to the basket, and tapped in for a par. Like you said, Calvin needed to make a move, so he went for it here and threw what was basically considered the shot of the tournament when everything was done.
God, you're making me feel bad that I didn't pick out the drive for hole 16.
It wasn't the drive, it was the second shot. And it's unusual that, you know, like in most of these situations, it's the drive, but this was the approach to the green that was really impressive.
Calvin for the birdie. Let's see now if Kevin can get the par. He has to get this shot at 27-27 to maintain the lead.
And
Or
like I
is- or
said,
is it the tie? It's
he's
close.
played, so he's played this conservatively.
Oh, they're tied. Calvin at 31, Jones at 31.
Yep. So they'll be tied going into hole 17, and they're tied at 31 under par. And there's one guy, Ezra Aderhold, who's in the clubhouse at 29 under par. And it's pretty unlikely that they're both going to fall back that far. So it's basically down to these two guys with 2 holes to go.
Hole 17, they're both at 31, 29-59. Calvin goes for the lead, 29-59.
Yeah, and when you get down to the last hole, and it's basically a match play now. Like they're only playing against each other for the win. So you're going to look at what the other guy's doing, and you're going to make a decision a little bit based on that.
Sorry, Susan's having to watch a Pizza Hut commercial. We will get that fixed for future shows. I promise you, this show is big time, but we're still on a budget. Okay. Hole 17. Calvin goes for a 1-point lead at 29-59. God, and you're so good, Brian. I like it how you're good. You're good. Better than I thought. You are definitely better than I thought. Definitely good. You're a keeper. Okay.
He does this thing here where he blocks the basket with his eyes before he putts, and I have a theory about why he does that. I'm not
Can you
sure.
rewind it? I want to see that again. What do you mean he blocks his eyes?
He'll hold up the disc, and I think that the reason he does this is because he's left eye dominant. So most people, if you're shooting a gun or a bow and arrow or whatever, and you're right-handed, you're right eye dominant. But I'm not. I'm left eye dominant. So if I close my right eye, I never hit anything because it's off by whatever degree. If I aim with my left eye, I'm much better. I think he does this because he's the same way. So he's focusing in with his dominant eye, and he's blocking his right eye out. That's what I think. I've never asked him. I'd love to ask him.
Wow. All right, let's see. Action. How many feet is this?
Probably like 45 feet. That was a pretty mild attempt. I don't think he was really trying to make that. There's out of bounds behind the basket, and based on where Kevin was on this hole, I think Calvin was happy to go to hole 18 with a tie.
Okay, so he needed to make that 30-38. Kevin Jones has to make this shot to keep the tie. Will he make the clutch shot?
Yeah, so he's putting, it's a very long par 3, 516 feet. So he's putting the pressure on Kevin here, who had a worse hole up to this point, that he needs to make this to match.
Oh my God, we're going to make it to hole 18. Boom. Solid shot.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good putt. And I mean, just to put it in context, the last time Kevin Jones won a event of this caliber was in 2020 in the fall. It's been almost 1,000 days. I think they said 913 days since the last time he won an event of this size. He's had some, man, last year specifically, he had just an incredibly heartbreaking one hole that cost him an event win. So he's feeling the pressure for sure here, but he's still composed enough to make a putt that he should always make.
And Calvin's never won, you're saying?
No,
He's
he
been
has
top 10. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Calvin won one tournament, one Pro Tour tournament last year. I think he won 2 the year before that.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Hole 18. It's tied between Calvin and Kevin. Already here, we didn't do a very good job of depicting it, but Calvin's comeback up to this point has been pretty remarkable. He got that double bogey back on hole 9, I think, or hole 10.
Well, in the holes leading up to 18, in the 6 holes before it, and remember you said on hole 12, that's when the thing started. Kevin Jones had made 6 pars, and Calvin Einberg had made 3 pars and 3 birdies. So he's closed a 3-hole deficit over that 6-hole stretch to come into hole 18. Hole 18 is a very famous hole on this course. It's a massive risk reward hole. You can try to lay up short, and then you have a very difficult shot into the green, or you can try to be aggressive to a narrow landing zone that makes the approach shot a lot easier. Calvin has the box, meaning he's going to throw first, and so we'll get to see what he does.
Okay, hole 18, it's tied between Calvin and Kevin, and here we see Calvin's drive, and do you think it's inbounds or out of bounds? He keeps it at 32 minutes. He keeps the excitement going for the fans, that's for sure. Here we go.
So it's in the air here. It's hyzering back in, and oh my God, from the reverse angle, everyone thought it was out of bounds because you can't see it from where that guy in the fairway is standing, but that is inbounds and so he's safe
by like 2 feet, right? If it would have landed on that cement path right there, that's out of bounds.
Yep, I think so.
Okay, can you rewind that again so we can see the full throw? Sorry, Suze, I really screwed you on the time codes. Here we go.
I wonder if this one will show it from behind or from the front angle, but yeah, you can see here that there's like water on both sides, and there's that landing strip in the middle, which is where he's aiming for. So he's going for an aggressive shot, and he said that he kind of missed through this shot and got lucky. But it's inbounds, and now Kevin has to go, and he has to decide what he wants to do, knowing that Calvin's in a good position to possibly make a birdie, at worst to make a par.
Okay, 32-25. Let's see how Kevin does. He needs a great throw. You might as well go to 32-20. Fuck it. There you go.
Missed it.
Oh, shit. I'm really screwing this up. Close your eyes for a second. 32-15. Try 32-15. Yeah, they're 13. Either way. It's good. There's Calvin. Pretty excited that it didn't go out of bounds. And here's Kevin Jones. He needs a great shot.
And in Kevin's post-game interview, so you saw right there, the disc just fell out of the sky. Like it drops like 20 feet just out of nowhere. And
it looks like it goes in the water.
It does.
Oh, it does. It's too bad they didn't show that. That's the first bad camera work I've seen from these guys. Go on.
And well, it's a tough angle to get that because all that tall grass is in the way, and it's not really a practical place to stand otherwise. But he said in his post-tournament interview, the only thing you have to do with your drive on 18 is get it in the air. And he's like, I just threw it too low.
And the commentators were trying to blame the wind. They were trying to say it wasn't his fault, that there was a downwind there.
The way that it dropped out of the sky
bullshit. It's his fault.
Dramatic, but Kevin, I would say, I like Kevin's perspective better. He said he was trying to throw it high in the air, and he didn't.
33-50. Calvin has a clean shot at the hole, and he has an opportunity to take over. Let's go to 33-45. Sorry, 33-45. We'll do the 5-second rule.
So Calvin's playing from his drive here. He's going to choose to throw a forehand. And like I said, the best players in the world can throw both. He just thinks he has more control or less risk of going out of bounds by throwing the forehand.
God, he's skinny. Good job, Brian. 33-39. We went with a healthy 11 seconds. Sorry, Souza. 11 seconds pre-roll.
Now, the green is out of bounds there, the golf green. So he's throwing it to make sure that it finishes to the right and in a place that's not out of bounds.
You don't think that was lucky, that roll?
That was a chicken chunk right there.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Yeah. You don't. That's always risky to throw one that rolls like that, right?
No, I think that disc did exactly what he wanted it to do. He wanted it to come in on a little angle and skip into this thick grass hillside.
Did it skip or did it roll? It was rolling, wasn't it?
It did a little skip and roll, but that grass is thick. It's really, and even if it rolls, he's so far away from any out of bounds that nothing bad's really going to happen here. This is a very safe shot, but he's basically telling Kevin, I'm playing this hole for par now, so I'm going to take a 4 on it. And if you want to beat me, you're going to have to throw it in the basket.
Damn. Okay. Well, then let's see what Kevin does.
Not even beat me. If you want to match me, you're going to have to throw it in the basket.
So Kevin, so as Brian set up here, let's go to 34-30. Kevin goes for a long shot to the basket. It's 170 feet. And I didn't realize when I watched this, but Brian states he has to go for it. This is the eagle, right? It's okay. We can watch this guy too if we want. This isn't the guy. This is the eagle. McMahon also going for a long shot. Looks like he's going to go for it. Nope.
No, he's out of the tournament at this point. He's just trying to throw it close to the basket and get off the course. He's not happy with how his day has gone. You can just let it play from here. You don't even have to move forward.
Just occasional pauses. Okay, here we go. Kevin Jones.
So in order to force a playoff, he has to make this shot. So usually he wouldn't be this aggressive, but he's going for it.
$170 feet.
Yeah, just a little putter and a hyzer flip. Perfect line, 1 foot too high.
Hey, can we see that again? Did you see that catch the wind and give that kind of that double pump? Did you see the Frisbee go up at the man? That's pretty impressive.
I mean, he is like, the line could not be more perfect. This is a very impressive throw, especially given the circumstances. This happens quite a bit where someone has to do something miraculous to extend the tournament. 2 years ago, it happened in the World Championships. It's called the Holy Shot. It was probably the best shot in the history of disc golf, given the circumstances. And he even said he was trying to channel a little bit of that shot when he was doing this, and he's pretty close.
Yeah, it's incredible. Watch this. You watch the disc take a dip and then a pump here at the last minute.
Oh nope. Yeah,
that's tough.
And it was, and honestly, it's a tough tournament because both Kevin and Calvin, I mean, it's hard to win, but I would have been happy for either one of them to win here. I think I probably would have preferred if Kevin had gotten the win just because it's been so long and he's been close a bunch of times, and Calvin does get about one a year. But down the stretch, Calvin was definitely better. And, you know, even though we talked about it earlier in the show, he took that double bogey in the middle of the round and he didn't give up. He just kept playing. He had a good bounce back from there, and he made the shots that mattered the most when they mattered most. Kevin Jones finished with 6 pars and a double bogey.
36-03, the most anticlimactic final shot in the history of golf, and this is the only golf tournament I've ever watched.
No, there are
Frisbee
a lot
golf tournament. 36-03. But I'm glad I got to see this because I always wondered what they did if it came down to the
yeah,
the
just
end
play
like
it from
this.
here. Just play it from here. So most of the time, all of the other players will tap out, and they'll let the guy that's win tap it in at the end. And
can you rewind that again and then play it with audio, just like 5 seconds? Watch Calvin. He does the old Michael Jordan.
Are just you said it, Jerm. 5 people got it in the whole tournament on this day, and just so happened Calvin was one of them, and 13 on the previous.
Sets it in there.
Big win, Calvin.
Boom. And we got a winner.
And Calvin is honestly, he's actually a big trash talker in some instances, but for the most part, he's a very quiet person. He's not going to be. I was I've become more and more impressed with these guys, and this happens in CrossFit too, that as they get in front of the camera more and more, they have more presence. They are able to be a little bit more articulate with what they want to say, who they want to thank, what they want to acknowledge. I thought Calvin did a pretty good job in his post-tournament interview.
Can you play the clip where he's talking on the far left there? Let's so people can hear a little word. Here we go.
Finally made it back to Florida and had the chance to reflect on this past weekend. Really proud of the way I fought back after a pretty lackluster round one. Throwing the disc really well, and I've also been putting the disc pretty well. I'm putting them in from circle 2 and really executing shots in high pressure situations. So I'm super excited to see what the rest of the season has in store. Thank you guys, as always, for all the support out there on tour. Without you guys, none of this is possible.
How much money did he win, Brian?
$7,500.
Not bad. So his mom did take him out to Dairy Queen after the win. Does disc golf have a good media team? That's a pretty fucking nice production they put together. I'll tell you that. It's a pretty nice production.
I like that first comment there, and Calvin. This your enthusiasm is unmatched, as he's just like monotone, like talking into it.
Is that just like a dickhead comment? Is he just kind
Hard to say, but he doesn't. I mean, he's not usually that enthusiastic. But like I said, these guys are becoming more well known. They're having a lot more earning potentials. The sponsors are paying more. The prize purses are going up, even though they're still relatively small. And the players are evolving as the sport evolves.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't see a wide variety of ethnicities and nationalities and skin tones, Pantones of skin color represented in the sport. It's a little unsettling.
I would say there are well, first of all, most of the European players did not play in this tournament.
Oh.
They'll play in some tournaments throughout the year, but they're also not of the skin tone that you're alluding to. There is a guy named Philo Brathwaite who does a commentary on Disc Golf Network sometimes, and he's a black guy from California area.
Oh, well, that's nice
been
to
pretty
see.
good. But
how about the girls? Anyone playing bikinis? They got any like Danielle Brandon's?
There are some of the women that are attractive, yeah, but they don't play.
I mean
in bikinis.
attractive. I mean cantankerous.
Not really like that. I don't think
It's not all about looks, Brian. It's about attitude.
The women are lacking in the attitude department, I would say, but there are some talented women for sure, and the level is rising there too.
There's one woman who just dominates the sport, right?
Yeah, last year there was. She didn't play in this tournament. Her name's Kristen Tatar, and she's from Estonia. I mistakenly said she was Finland on the last show. We talked about that. And she is, someone's going to have to rise up to challenge her. The woman who won this tournament is named Katrina Allen. She's probably one of the 2 or 3 best in the world as well. And she won by a healthy margin, maybe 4 or 5 strokes. So maybe she'll be the girl that puts some heat on Kristen this year. But yeah, Kristen is clearly the best in the world right now.
What do you think the odds are of us moving tomorrow night show up an hour?
You guys could do it. I won't be able to make it on time.
Isn't the show with you tomorrow?
Yeah, but I coach, and then I come here to do the show after I coach.
Oh, what time? We normally start at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time?
Yeah, I finish coaching at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but I like to leave just a half an hour buffer in case I have to stay at the gym late or...
Yeah, that doesn't give you much time at all.
Right. So
you basically just walk in the door and get at it.
Yes.
Holy shit. Look, we got a thumbs up from Facebook. I didn't know anyone watched our shit on Facebook.
Me neither. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Michelle Sharp Shanks.
Whoever
that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trip. Make it work, Sevan. I know. I got a friend coming into town tomorrow. I got a friend coming into town tomorrow.
A friend.
Sevan just taught me a new word: cantankerous, bad-tempered, argumentative, and uncooperative. Hashtag Danielle Brandon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Makes a disc and just flips off the crowd.
No, I don't give a fuck about the looks, man. I drive a beat up pickup truck as long as it got a nice exhaust pipe. Just care about the attitude. Big fat tires. I like tires that stick out past the wheel wells. Loud muffler.
Car solo, you can't get into most places.
That is our first show covering frisbee golf together. Brian Friend and I think we did. Give us an A+ for our first show. Tomorrow night we will be covering the pickleball championships. And then what is the next tournament, Brian? Where do they go next? What city?
Waco, Texas. March
Waco,
10th
Texas.
through 12th. So that was a 4-round tournament. There are not that many 4-round tournaments. Most of them are
What do you mean?
3
What do you mean
rounds.
4 round? What do you mean four
There were
round?
4. They played 1 round on 4 consecutive days.
Oh, no shit. So those dudes played 18 holes 4 days in a row?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
The next
Okay.
tournament, they'll
That's
only
a lot of
play a
frisbee.
3-day tournament.
Endurance.
Okay. Endurance. I think it's stamina at that point, right? March 10th to the what?
10th to 12th.
Okay. Oh, so that's coming up. Oh my goodness. You guys, this weekend, the John Jones fight. Oh my goodness. Did you watch the Jake Paul fight, Brian?
No.
Oh, I watched it. I thought it was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. I felt like I didn't want anyone to know that I paid for that fight when I bought it. I'm like, oh God, I hope no one.
They
no
just
one sees
pretend
my-
you illegally did it.
I hope no one sees my cable bill.
Oh boy. Yeah, it won't
But
be
it-
long till I'm there with my phone, huh?
But it seems good. Unsporty Beth in the house. Good to see you. Any closing words, Brian?
It would be hilarious to have Souza on the disc golf court trying to get back
Oh.
scenes interview.
I would be like that guy getting hit with the disc golf, not knowing where the hell I am.
We will. I think we do have an MMA show for Friday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of people were wanting to know the discs that I use. Maybe I'll do that at some point. Maybe I'll do it on Instagram.
Brian, they were joking. That was sarcasm.
No, I don't think there was a lot of people
There's
asking.
real ones in there.
No.
I mean, there were quite a lot of those comments.
Let me.
I'll do that on Instagram. I won't bother you.
Let me. I want to make sure. Do we have everything scheduled? So tomorrow morning we have Brett Pike. That's gonna be a fantastic show. That's gonna be a great show. And then we have live call-in show on. No, wait.
What about
where am I?
tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, where's tomorrow night show? Oh, I went to the wrong month. where am I? Oh, okay. So Brett Pike at 7 a.m. tomorrow, and then tomorrow night trolling the leaderboard. And then Wednesday morning, Michael Cazu.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is, Brian?
He used to do the Brute Strength podcast. He used to be
Yeah.
on a team that would compete at the games and do quite well also with Adrian Conway. But now I don't know what he's doing.
Molly, donations for Sevan's Hood Disc golf team. Thank you. Molly, I appreciate
Maybe with
it.
Adrian Conway. He was on Tommy Hackenbrook's team, wasn't he? He might have won the games twice.
I know, but I talked to him on the phone a few months ago, and I'd never talked to him before. And fuck, he's a pleasant man. I really enjoyed it. And then on Thursday, we have we have Jason. We have 2 shows on Thursday too. We have Jason Kalipa in the morning at 7 a.m. And then we have Andrew Hiller, Taylor Self, and J.R. Howell, and I think Bill Grunler and Chase Ingram, and maybe Brian will even join us. It'll be a big party to watch Andrew Hiller do 23.3. It's gonna be a big show.
I had fun on that show last week. Maybe I'll do it.
All right.
Oh, actually, I won't do it because I'll be in Omaha for the live announcement.
You will. The announcement's in Omaha?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
going to the live announcement?
Yes.
What are you doing there?
I'm getting footage for Sevan Podcast.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I like to hear. We'll have someone on the ground there. Maybe we'll start early.
Are you going to try to get me kicked out of this too?
I hope so.
I was invited to
Nah.
it, so we, most
Who
likely we'll also
invited
get
you?
kicked out.
Who
Well,
invited-
Patrick arranged it.
What a
Patrick Clark.
dude.
Mhm.
That
Oh,
gym
well,
looks
that's good.
sick.
And then Friday, because of at Patrick Clark's request, we will be doing a 7 a.m. UFC show with Darian Weeks. I hope Darian shows up. Does he know?
He's usually good for it. That's a great question. I was just thinking of that when I saw it pop up as Darren Weeks because I didn't schedule it with him on there, but I'm sure he's going to be down. We'll check in with him right after this show.
Darian, Friday,
We'll check in with him right now.
7 a.m. All right. You guys are the best. I got to prepare for Brett Pike. How do you get invited if you associate with Sevan? We'll save that question for Tuesday. Great question.